Welcome on the AM News Belt. Let's settle for our first story now. Former Secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissiou, says he will turn himself in. It's been barely 6 hours since the special prosecutor officially declared him wanted. Mr. Bissiou will turn himself in, but is resolved to fight, declaring his innocence and insisting he is not on the run.
I'm surprised. However, I have not gone AWOL. I'm still in the country. I work in the Western region. As we speak, I'm on route to Accra. I will attend the Special Prosecutor's Office. But, in any case, previously I had been invited to the various investigative agencies, as the NIB, which I visited on 2 occasions, the CID, the National Security, pertaining to this problems. The OSP's office itself, I've also been there, I think, twice. So it's not like I am actually running away from attending a meeting at the OSP's office. I asked for time to attend, and I think there was a misunderstanding. I actually abide by the laws of this country, and so I don't think, defying the creature of our constitution or the laws of Ghana is the best thing. I've been law-abiding, and so basically I haven't gone missing. I'm in the country. I was in the Western region, so I will attend. And I think that when I attend this, I think it would further even redeem my image, because we know that for the past 4 or 5 years, with this Galamsey menace, we've been going back and forth where a lot has happened. So I think this is also an opportunity for me to further redeem myself, because, as I said, I've been to various regulatory or investigative agencies, and I've actually given them statements. So I do not know what the special prosecutor is going to ask me, but I've always been consistent, and I think that the consistency with which I've actually churned out or given information to help them in their investigation would be the same at the OSP's office.
What do you think may have accounted for this? Because obviously the OSP may not just move out and publish this in the media looking for you.
Well, they wrote to me, I think a few weeks ago, and I got my lawyers to write back to say that I was actually not indisposed, and that they should give me a few days, and they said they were not going to agree to that pressure coming on a certain date, which I couldn't because I wasn't feeling well. And then said that later on I heard of an arrest warrant, and then now we have this coming up. But I think all said and done, we're all working in the interest of the country. Once I attend the interview, and then I think we'll come to a conclusion that Ghana must move forward.
Well, a flag-bearer aspirant of the New Patriotic Party, Alan Kwadwo, has called on government to review the current exchange rate regime at the country's ports to boost the productivity of the private sector and to help reduce inflation. Now,
if for one reason or the other your currency is depreciating, and you know that you have a highly import-dependent economy, in my very humble opinion, it doesn't make sense for you to apply the same exchange rate at which imports and the duty on imports are calculated. That means that just as soon as you find that the exchange rate is going down or high, those who import, and which includes not only traders but also manufacturers, it means that they also have to bear the brunt of the depreciating exchange rate. But if for purposes of imports you can fix a lower exchange rate, then in actual fact you are making imports cheaper. Not necessarily to destabilize trading, but the traders will tell you that, of course, if imports are cheaper, they are more inclined to pay their duty and also more inclined to pass it on to the general public. Government, number 4, government will intervene to target directly key supply cost drivers of inflation, especially food prices. Those of you who know how we calculate inflation in this country. It's a basket of goods particularly dominated by food, which really is the key determinant factor for inflation. And that is why government has to intervene to directly target some of these supply cost drivers, particularly in respect of food prices. Government will take measures to boost food production and improve the supply chain from production to transportation to storage to preservation and to marketing. Because all these processes add costs to food prices, and that is what fuels inflation. And when government does this, it will reduce the weight and contribution of food prices on inflation. Number 5, government will create a parallel system of food storage and distribution to mitigate the effects of seasonal food shortages and excessive profiteering by food sellers. 2, government will ensure strict maintenance of fiscal discipline to reduce the borrowing burden of the state. Because if you cut your, how do you say it? You cut your coat according to the size of your cloth, then, and you introduce fiscal discipline, then you will not run into a situation where you always have to borrow to finance your deficits. Limited state participation in the market will improve liquidity circulation at reasonable rates, which will put and push interest rates down. Government would ensure that BOG lends about 15 to 20% of the bank's cash reserve ratio, which is the CRR, at concessionary rates to targeted businesses with self-liquidating transactions to be executed through banks and other special vehicles. The import of all this is that you cannot borrow at 35% and be able to compete, not even under the AFTA framework. So whether we like it or not, we need some shock therapy to bring down interest rates. If we use our current policy of, I would say, tweaking with the Bank of Ghana policy rate, it will never come down. And so this kind of shock therapy, the kinds of things that we are talking about, should be able to bring down the policy rate to about 5% or 6%. And then obviously you start getting into single-digit interest rates. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we cannot make our private sector competitive.
Now, residents in the Munkose electoral area here in Accra are on a collision course with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly officials over claims that the desilting of drains was done by the AMA and not through individual contributions. The residents say they were levied 300 Ghana cedis by the Assembly towards the desilting of the drains. Here's Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa's report.
The Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Dan Boche, is currently touring various assemblies who have been allocated funds for the Garrid project to prevent floods. Residents in the Munkose electoral area are in a tussle with the Accra Metropolitan officials over claims that the silting of drains was done by the individuals in the community rather than the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. We did our own thing. We desilted it ourselves not long ago. It cost us 300 Ghana cedis. So nobody has done anything for us.
It wasn't the AMA officials that's desilted the gardens. Oh wow.
We were the ones who desilted it ourselves, and they took 300 Ghana cedis from us.
What did you do it? When was that? But was it recently?
2 months ago, I said,
2 months ago.
What you can see here was done last week. It was just last week that we took all these stuff out from the gutters. Meanwhile, the director of planning at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Richard Odro, has refuted these claims. He says that proper investigations will be done to probe further into the issue.
I don't believe what he said, because already undercarried funds have been released for us to do the decision works. So it's neither here. What he's saying can be true. It's an allegation. We just have to investigate. But I won't be surprised, because from time to time you have residents and individuals who organize certain individuals or group to do some private exercise for them. An allegation is a weight against the assembly member. Moving forward, well, it has come to our notice. So we'll forward this to management and then we'll do further investigation.
The minister revealed that Metropolitan and Municipal Assemblies officers who failed to see through the garage-related projects and other infrastructure projects to be done in the area will be sanctioned.
Yeah, you see, first, it was just said that it's a program for results. Okay. Assemblies that do well get their share of the funds. Those who don't do well, based on their percentage of performance, will reduce the mandate to go to the assembly. And that's why we are saying that will not be fair to the people. You have seen the work they are doing here. Let's assume you reduce what they are supposed to get back, say 100,000 Ghana cedis. It means that they won't do the decision they should do, or they will do only 1 kilometer and leave the rest. And what happens? When they raise, this woman you were talking to, they are the people who are going to suffer. So I'm saying that no, let's leave that. We are in touch with the local government service. Officers who give up their plan of action for the year and don't use the money as they should use it, or the timing of the operation as they should do, they don't do it. They will be sanctioned. But the community should not suffer because of that.
The minister is still touring various assemblies to ensure the funds have been properly used. For Joy News, Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
In our next story, residents of Kuni in the Yendi municipality have described the rehabilitation of their CHIPS compound as a major boost to healthcare delivery in the area. They say they are encouraged to seek healthcare from the facility, unlike in the past when the hospital was in a dilapidated state. Northern Region's Martin Abugri now reports.
The CHIPS compound had the entire facility renovated and a tricycle ambulance refurbished. The partners also provided a mechanized borehole and connected to the facility. Speaking at the event, some women, Ruth Christopher and Amma Gideon, said it would encourage them to visit the hospital anytime they need to send their children for welfare clinic.
We was facing problem, water, everywhere water. When they call us for weighing, you have to go to river and fetch water and bring it. And students too, when they are going to school, the water that we manage in the house, they will fetch it and go to school again. But now, we can see that you save us a lot.
Go and climb the mountain and fetch the water 4 times in the morning. In the evening too, you can go 3 or 4. Before you can get water to make whatever you want to do. And if you come to our facility, when you are coming to weigh, they will ask you to bring water. When you refuse to bring water, when you come, the nurse will not weigh your child. At times, she will weigh her and collect the book down. Go and bring water before you get the book. Without water, you will not get your book. But now, we have seen that you have saved us.
The midwife for the Kuni CHIPS compound, Vivian Akaba, said the water provided will help control infection, whilst the renovation would encourage more people to visit the facility.
The same water animals drink, and people even urinate inside, others shit inside, but yet they bring that water for us to use. it was MCG or one man came here. He saw the state of the water and provided us with aqua taps. So it was the aqua tap that we're using, and then I think it was better for us in a way. But now that this water is here, I think everything, like when I go inside the living room and after delivering, I don't need to come out and say I'm washing my hand. I just need to use my elbow and then wash my hand, which too will prevent infections.
The Municipal Director for Health Service, Adja Ajara Haruna, said the renovation means a lot to the Health Service Directorate because they could not have afforded to do it.
For me,
because we couldn't do this by ourselves, actually. And we used to always come, look at the thing, and then we say, oh, we wish we could have done something about it. Infrastructure-wise, it has to be done by the Assembly, actually. We are told that every year they are supposed to give us 2 CHIPS compounds. But when it comes to renovation, it's also another thing. So I think it's all about the funding.
Executive Director of Water for West Africa, Ricky McWalter, said their mission is to care for those that are suffering in need for facilities like the clinic.
Our mission is to care for those that are suffering from the needs in facilities like this hospital. So we have come, and we are dedicated to the service and love of you. Because there's been so many people in the U.S., in the States, the United States, that have given their resources because they love you as well.
The Chief Executive Officer of Rural Water and Development Program Ghana, Nathaniel Adams Jr., on his part said, having worked with UNICEF on WASH, especially emergency response WASH during COVID-19, made them to appreciate the challenges rural communities face when it comes to health facilities.
Now, I worked with UNICEF over the last few years when COVID came, which is an emergency work. Emergency response to WASH has sent us more into health delivery, and we have to appreciate the challenges that health delivery in the system in Ghana face, especially in the CHIPS compounds and the hospitals in rural Ghana. And so once we came back to our home, which is Yendi, we decided that whatever we have done with UNICEF, we are going to continue with it as an organization alone.
Now, a nerve-wracking contest that left 6 schools on tenterhooks in the Upper West Regional Library. 4 schools have made the final cut to the National Championship. Queen of Peace SHS, Laura SHS, St. Francis Girls of Assisi, and Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagman's alma mater, WA SHS. They will join 2-time finalists St. Francis Xavier SHS to represent the region. Emmanuel Bright Kweku has more from WA on NSMQ.
I am 0 for Group 18 elements. I describe the attraction. Ignatius?
Electronegativity.
WA has also pressed.
Electron affinity.
And people don't understand why they pressed. And I am also not understanding why you pressed. They have 3 points.
And that was the scene at the WA Regional Library after WA SHS booked the last slot to the National Championship for the Upper West region.
WA denitrifying bacteria.
After 6 exciting nail-biting contests that left 6 winning schools in suspense, 4 schools booked slots at the national tournament with their untrodden runs. Queen of Peace SHS, who won their contest with an impressive 56 points, are coming into the national tournament with a spiritual backing.
God had already started preparing this particular season for us since from Form 1. So we are not afraid of any school. We are not afraid of the name of the a school. The name of the school doesn't matter to us. The number of achievements they've made doesn't matter. The Bible makes me understand from the book of 1 Samuel that David said that, and this congregation shall know that the Lord saves not by sword or by spear or by javelin, but that God is going to do that mighty wonders. But we go there in the name of the Lord, and with God we are never failures. We are never going to lose any.
Laura.
Taking the second slot, students of Laura SHS are promising a meltdown for any school that may cross their path.
That is correct.
When we get there, we will show them that we too, we are the best.
Hey, you show which people? I want to know which people you are talking about. Is it the Presec Lagos and the Prempeh? What message do you have for them?
No, they should not underrate any school. We are prepared for them. We are going to sit down, work on our tactics and prepare very well for them.
Yeah, we are going to melt them this year.
You are going to do what?
Melt them.
Melt them?
Yes, anybody that comes on our way.
So are you some kind of heat or fire or something?
Oh, we are more than that. We are more than that. And now we will put a motto, if we meet any school, go home. That's the new motto.
We have Jesus in our lives. We live in
Called them the daughters of the saints, St. Francis Girls of Assisi beat their all-time rivals Nandom SHS in a comeback, winning by a 4-point margin.
Before we started, the guys said they were going to use up and mop their floor. Now we have shown them, we have used them, and we haven't scrubbed their floor. It's actually an unexplainable experience because what the rest were saying, like it was some kind of beat. So we're planning, like the way I was waiting for us to win the contest and I'll go out and make fun of them. Actually, have you seen something? We don't talk much. We keep calm. After the contest, the end shall justify the means, and after that we shall shine, and we'll shine forever.
Back at the campus of the WA SHS, a resounding guard of honor was held for the contestants as the school made their second appearance at the national competition after 20 years. Teachers and students could not hide their excitement.
So sir, you are the headmaster for the school.
Yes.
How does it feel seeing your school qualify again?
In fact, I feel highly elated. It is going to be a do and die affair. We are going not to leave any stone unturned.
Exciting since How do you feel at the moment?
I feel so happy. This has been the second time my school qualified. In fact, no one can explain our happiness. We are going, the sky is not even our limit.
The fear is not in us, because we have the hope that this year the trophy is coming to us. It is coming to get to us in a high this year.
Prempeh College, Presec Lagos, they've won it 7 times, Prempeh 5 times, and others. What message do you have for them? Should they be scared of you?
Oh yes, they have to be. The quiz itself is a game of chance, and we have set out to win. And what's in high, we will forever win.
The school boasts of prominent old students, including Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin and Joy News's Rafiq Salam.
Excited, and I say congratulations to the boys who really made West Secondary School very proud. We are all proud of Presec.
How did it feel when you realized some of the schools were coming closer?
I wasn't comfortable at all because especially when during the time of the true or false, but somehow along the line I knew that some of the schools actually were true or false schools.
From here in WA, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku, and he is
reporting for Joy News. Rafiq Salam.
On that celebratory note, we cap off the news, but up next, the news review with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Do stay. Thank you for staying. Time now for us to get into the newspapers, let you know what exactly is happening in Ghana and beyond. Thank you for staying. Now, this segment is brought to you courtesy of, well, you do know, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, here's what they're offering you. Every morning I do this, and I also talk about the need for us to get ourselves checked, whether it is as a woman. You ought to check your fertility. Don't take it for granted. When certain things are happening, for some of you, you may not see your blood flow at the end of the month or two and you take it for granted. No, that's not the right thing to do. There could be issues in there. You could be developing something you do not know. For the man, your prostate is essential to your life. You could do without it, but there will be some limitations. So why take the risk? That is why I proffer to you every morning to make tracks to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra, They're located at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, there's Kronoma Boakye behind the Angel Educational Complex. Then there's Takrady Anaji Estate if you find yourself in Tadi. There's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hansua, and Esiama and Zima. If you'd like to call them, which you should, the numbers to call 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease, bringing us to the start of the news review. And joining us, none other, it's a Wednesday morning, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is a political scientist at the University of Ghana. He also happens to be head director of the Center for European Studies. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben.
Good to see you, good to have you. Well, I can't see you this morning because the Zoom connection or the virtual connection is not the best. But I hope in the course of this review, we can get it up and running. But how have you been?
I am good and enjoying myself. I'm preparing for a roundtable discussion on University of Ghana campus for my center. That is a IMF-Ghana relationship, the legal environment, and the European Union. We want people to come and listen to the conversation as discussants. We'll look at it and the rest of them. It promised to be very interesting on Friday.
Well, I'll tell you something. In the last semester, when I was submitting some of my exam papers or term papers, among others, for my master's program, I met someone, Eric Sly.
Eric?
Yes, Sly.
Mm-hmm.
He says he's your brother. So he actually has your look, and he met me, he chanced upon me, and when, of course, he knew me from television and started talking about the fact that, you know, sometimes he sees you on with me and all of that. But that's a conversation I guess we'll have when this is done and dusted. He said when I mentioned Sly, Eric, you would figure out. Anyway.
I know.
You do know. Okie doke. So as we usually do, before we get into the stack of papers, I would like to take your reflections on any matters that you'd like to share with us this morning. There's been the swearing in of the Chief Justice. Many have shared their thoughts. There's the OSP and his invitation, arrest as well, of Professor Frimpong Boateng. And now Charles Bissiou, the former secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. He has supposedly been a wanted man, but he says he's turning himself in after being declared wanted by the OSP. Among other matters of national scope that we've had to look at. But for you, what would you like to share your thoughts on with us this morning?
Yes, today I think I would deviate a little bit, but it's in line with things that are happening.
Right.
As a student of politics, it's my duty to contribute to the deepening of democratic structures in this country. And it's on this basis that I want to proffer this advice to political parties who have started electing members or their representatives for the next election. There are things I want them to, I want to bring to their attention so that they look at them carefully in order not to undermine their chances.
Right.
Oftentimes, when people are going for election, there are a whole lot of things that they do. They undermine each other, they say things, and then those things become albatross around their neck and all that. I want to look at four things.
Okay.
That resources, that as they are preparing for election, they should be able to gather a lot of resources that are genuine, that when you are called to answer for them, you will be able to stand tall and then do so.
Right.
You don't want resources that the next day they ask you that you spend so much and that you should come and account for them and you will not have answers. We need that. And resources, I'm not talking about only material resources, but natural resources as well. Human beings, for instance, you need people that will help you to prosecute the agenda, people who have credibility, people who stand tall in terms of their stature and their prominence, and then their quality in the party. You need such people. You don't have to surround yourself with people who have dodgy character, who have dubious character, people who you can vouch for their integrity and the rest of them. These are things that are critical too. That you need a strategy that will be able to beat your opponent in a fair and equal manner. A fair manner in the sense that, yes, I know politics is who get what, when and how. But if you go on that tangent and you are not careful, at the end of the day, you can also hit a snap. So you need a strategy that will really drive home the votes, that will really get you on the ground and then help you to achieve your aim. And of course, you need messages that can stand the test of time, messages that can also resonate with the people, and then deal with problems of not only your party, but the country at large. The strategy, if you are, people have all manner of strategies where they engage in character assassination, where they engage in undermining people. They say ill about their competitors. Let me remind them that if you go on that route, you risk voting for, the electorate will vote for a candidate of their choice, and this is the person you have destroyed, said so many things. You come back to come and do what? A PR.
So in other words, the politics of insults and mudslinging, right? We have to do away with that.
You should do away with that, because then you have a difficult task of now coming to rebrand that candidate you have destroyed. And it becomes a raw material for your opponent. They chance on that, they build messages on that, and then you find it difficult to repair that damage. I want to caution them that as they are preparing feverishly for this exercise, they must be mindful of these 3 or 4 things: the RSM, resources, strategy, messages. They should watch them carefully. And once they are able to do them within the framework of the law, I'm sure that at the end of the day, if they will do other things well, they should be crowned victorious in their attempt to lead their party.
Interesting dynamics you've shared with us on political parties, the democratic dynamics, and what we should be looking forward to. Let's get into the papers now very quickly. The Daily Graphic on the front page says, stalled roadworks pose danger. Commuters, motorists call for help. And this has been the plight of many people. Recently, we've had our Ghana Potholes exhibition, which we've been talking about, in fact, jovially or jocosely. Jojo Kobina, who is here with us at the Joy News group, he actually, or Joy News I should say, went to one of these places around the Iran clinic, and he was able to play Owari in some of them. Just to paint a picture for you about how devastating our roads can be. Now, you may not look at it from that angle, but the point being that every day, if you ply a route that is riddled with potholes or a non-existent road that you have to make motorable through some means, what does it do to your car? It means you're going to be buying spare parts, fixing your car, working on your car. And look at the economic situation we find ourselves in. So we've been doing that, thankfully, in the Ashanti region. In one of the spots we went to, the urban roads, I believe, moved in, and they are doing some patchwork. But our roads, we talk about the accidents and everything, but we really need to work on these roads. Very few of our roads are top-notch, top quality. The N1, you can talk of, well, the Tema motorway, which is concrete, but now with the patches and all the work that has been done on it, we were not futuristic enough to think and realize that we would have to take care of it. And concrete roads are the most expensive, so it becomes a problem. But according to the story, craters and potholes have suddenly emerged on some major roads in Accra following the recent rains in the country, impeding the smooth movement of vehicles across the city. The hardest hit are the stalled road projects whose unpaved portions have created gaping holes with the onset of the rains. The Dr. K. Buzia Highway, or Bechabi Lamte interchange, Junction Mall at Nungwa, Teshi Town Roads, Zongo Junction, the outer lanes on both sides of the N1 from the Niboy Town Lorry Station to the Liberty Center, Assemblies of God Church, and the Abosuakai Central Mosque stretch are the worst affected. Motorists and commuters for some weeks now have to endure long queues because of the slow movement of vehicles through potholes and craters of various shapes and sizes, shallow, deep, narrow, wide, or a combination of these features. And sometimes you even set off at a particular time thinking that I'll be able to, but potholes, bad roads, which create traffic, and you end up spending 20, 30 minutes more time commuting to your destination. All of these are problems. And if the roads were better, we could, do better on that front as well. But compounding the problem on some of the roads are the exposed underground drains whose metal grids have either been stolen or washed away. On the Dr. K. Buzia Highway, for instance, the potholes and craters can be seen in the outer lane from Accra Academy through the police quarters and the Dakuman Junction. And if you look at what I'm looking at here, you may not have the opportunity. So let me just do this. I don't know whether you can see it, but if you can just look at this portion, look at all of that. This is supposed to be road, and look at all of this taken off. How can you? This is like, it is indeed a crater. How can you pass your car on this for a week and you're going to have problems? Your take on this, Doc?
Yes, I think it's an important topic you are touch on. Roads. It's one of the factors that really push forward the economic frontiers of every country. That you need to develop them well. What I've seen over the years is that we have, I think, after Nkrumah's regime, we have not seen major important roads or roads developed in top quality. No. Why am I saying that? We've seen motorway built 1958, solid as a rock. Yes, because it was built, the quality was good, and the evidence is there for us to see. These days, you will see road constructed in few years, in no time, and then you have to go back and repair them. And I have seen that it's a deliberate effort on the part of, our government. They don't construct them well, and people have accused them that, yes, government do a lot of shoddy work, because some even accuse them that they benefit from it and all that. But if you follow the conversation and you see the quality of roads that are done, you ask yourself whether they are supervisors. There are people who go around to supervise. Because I don't understand why we can build roads that in no time they get spoiled, and then we go in for resources and come and build them again. And every time you will realize that politicians tie this thing up toward elections. That when we are getting to election, you see all manner of roads springing up just to use it as a bait to woo political electorate to vote for them. After that, yes, we go back and then do what we want to do. So we have not maintained quality roads. The few ones we have built them have not lasted, simply because they are poor quality, no supervision, because I want to challenge them. If there were any better supervision, we wouldn't have what we're having now. So I think going forward, we need to ensure value for money. We should make it a point in our constituency that if roads are constructed, we take note of the time they were constructed. And that in no time when they get spoiled, that government and its party people, when they come for vote, don't renew their mandate. That's all. When we don't put our foot down, we will continue to have shoddy work done on our roads, and these things go a long way to undermine productivity, and it takes away lives, precious lives. And we don't seem to care. All these things, we, the electorate, can put our foot down, and the right thing will be done.
Yesterday, interestingly, I met, I should say, a prominent person. He leads one of these groupings that hold authorities to their promises and all of that. He's a member of a group. I just don't want to mention his name. But he met me and he told me yesterday somewhere in town, we met, and he came and sat in my car and he said to me, look, I wonder how we think as a people, because I have a cousin who sent me a message that I should send him some mobile money today. Yet there's a certain party, and let me just state it, the current administration. Things are not going well for him on the back of X, Y, and Z, and the economy and this and that. Yet he is a sworn party member who says, come what may, even if he has nothing, he will always vote in a certain direction for a certain party. And my friend told me that, listen, people like that are those we don't need in the country, because these people will not think through the issues. It's just about, I am affiliated to the NPP, I'm affiliated to the NDC.
Sure.
And willy-nilly, I will vote there, even if it's not working for me. That is nonsense. If you do that, how can you expect any development? Because these people will know that you are beholden to them no matter what. And so no matter how trashy, foolish, and how pathetic their performance, they will have some, I don't want to use the word coming, but some people who will not think through the issues and just vote for them because I vote NPP all the time, I vote NDC all the time. If you're such a person, I'm sorry to say, you're missing the entire point. You are one of our problems in Ghana. If you are such a person, you are one of our problems. I just had to say that because we were lamenting it yesterday when this person came. I saw him by his car, flagged him, he came into my car, and we had a brief conversation. And it is just pathetic. We've always said, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, your research has shown that any time in this country, elections are held, the two parties, NDC, MPP, MPP, NDC, will get about 40% each guaranteed. I don't know whether those numbers have decreased, but it means that a chunk of us are not thinking through the issues. We're not even looking at the issues. It's just about, I am from this part of the country, and I always stand with the red, black, green, and white. Or I'm from that part of the country, and we always stand with the white, blue, and red. You keep saying you want development, but you are acting like this. How do you get it?
Yes. What you have said is nothing but a true reflection of the situation on the ground. That people have taken political parties as, all in all. They've relegated issues to the background, and they think about party tradition, ideology, and whatnot. So issues, factors such as things that affect their livelihood, they are not ready to talk about them. They are prepared to defend their party through thick and thin, but that will push away the interests of the country, which will eventually affect them. And that is why the advocacy must continue unabated. National Commission for Civil Education should also strengthen its effort to educate people on this line. Right. Telling people that it is, yes, important to belong to political parties, but if your party is not delivering the public good, please be bold and get the courage to throw that party away and give way to people with fresh ideas. That is the way to behave in a democracy.
I'll just say this. You said something interesting. It's okay to belong to a political party, but let's all remember we belong to Ghana first before belonging to any political party. Ghana first.
My interest as a human being in this country, I don't care about which party is in office. My interest is to protect corporate Ghana. Without Ghana, you and I will fizzle out in no time.
Just very quickly, so we wrap with the daily graphic. I had to talk about this. It's on page 21. 14th June today is World Blood Donor Day. There's a spread here taken by the National Blood Service Ghana. We live because you give. Give blood, give plasma, share life, share often. And you can check out the National Blood Service Ghana on Facebook, on Twitter, NBS Ghana, on Instagram, giveblood.givelife, on LinkedIn, National Blood Service Ghana. And you can also reach them on 0302-428-940. This is just to help all of us give blood. The National Blood Service is in dire straits. If you go to the hospital and there's no blood, you could die. That is the reality. They are only meeting about 60% of the blood needs. So what happens to the 40%? So we all must donate blood, donate plasma, and share life and share often. I just had to add my voice. They were here in the studio with us yesterday. But quickly, very quickly, let's consolidate constitutional democracy. Speaker and Speaker of Parliament Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin has emphasized the need for all to work towards consolidating the gains of Ghana's 30 years of uninterrupted constitutional democracy. He described the country's journey in multi-party constitutional democracy as a remarkable achievement worthy of celebration. He said it was an opportunity for Ghanaians to remember where the country had come from, reflect and examine the journey, challenges and opportunities, and map out the way forward. In tandem with what you were sharing, Doc. But just to tie in these so that you can share your thoughts as well. You were talking about the NCCE. It is urging citizens to stand during the national anthem. I don't even know why this should come up. It should be the norm. We shouldn't even be told that when the national anthem is going to be sung, you should stand. But there's an interesting twist, though. Recently, there was an event the president attended, and even before the national anthem, when Mr. President was coming, everyone was supposed to stand and all of that. It was a bit curious, but in the end, yeah, it did happen. The Greater Accra Regional Minister also there. You can't transfer vote in by-election. That's according to the EC. And transfer of votes cannot take place in a by-election, the Director of Electoral Services at the EC, Dr. Palgrave Boakye-Danquah, has said. Quoting him, he says, according to Article 112 of the Constitution, the EC is enjoined to conduct a by-election within 30 days of being notified by the Clerk of Parliament about the vacancy. The 30 days will not allow for the 42-day requirement for the transfer of votes. Simply put, that is it. Charles Bissiu dodges OSP invitation and 10 million Ghana cardholders without TIN. So it says the Ghana Revenue Authority has found out that more than 10 million Ghana cardholders whose information has been migrated to its system are not registered as taxpayers. Out of the 15.99 million Ghana card records migrated from the National Identification Authority database onto the GRA database, the tax authority has been able to link 3.08 million of its existing 5.74 million TIN daily graphic. You shouldn't be saying TIN numbers because the end there is a number. So TINs to the Ghana cards as taxpayers. It just means that a lot of us did not have TINs before we got the Ghana card. And you know the Ghana card supposedly replaces the TIN. It will be encoded. Any quick thoughts on these stories as we move on?
Yes, I think I will touch on democratic consolidation, which is dear to my heart. My master's thesis was on democratic consolidation,
right?
How to firm the frontiers of democracy so that we don't go back to authoritarian rule. The speaker has said it right. I commend him for that. But he said other things that are also extremely important that we should remember where we come from so as to safeguard this democracy. It is very, very important. I commend the speaker for that. But for you to consolidate democracy, there are a lot of factors. Time will not permit us. I'll touch on a few. That is important. As a country, we need to work against corruption. One of the things that undermines the fortunes of any democracy is the issue of corruption. We need to fight it head on, no lip service. Apart from that, democracy hinges on rule of law. For you to consolidate any democracy, you need to have a rule of law. That there is equality before the law, and there is also what due process. These two components of rule of law must be held very high if you really want to consolidate democracy. And of course, you need election that is free from controls and free from corruption and free from all the vices that undermine what free and fair elections. We need elections that there are equal playing fields for everybody and elections that will stand the test of time. Of course, you need our leaders to be accountable and answerable for their actions and inactions. These are some of the things that are required for a consolidation of a democracy. Then I move on to the national anthem saga. Right? It is important that we know the symbols of every country. These include your anthem, your coat of arms, your songs, and the rest of them. As nationals, we need to respect them at all times. So you don't need to be prompted to know that you have to obey these things. But sometimes we also want to understand the reasons why people do what they do, right? Because people go to occasions and you realize that they are not feeling well, all of a sudden something happens, and you need to know. So much as you want to look at these things and criticize, and you want to even ask people to do the right thing, you must also be patient to look at why it is so.
Right.
I saw the video and I saw the reaction of the president as it was not proper. It was not proper because I wanted Mr. President to have had a little, be more composed on the matter and then handle it in a way that it will not degenerate into this. I was not happy because as the president, yes, he is there for all, and he has sworn oath to obey all the rules and regulations in this country. And we have given him the mandate for governance. Look at this country. Mr. President is in this country.
Right.
And our forests, our environment are destroyed without mercy. And I ask myself whether Mr. President is in this country. The same Mr. President who went to enforce rules of national anthem and all that. That's a good thing. But I also want him to look at issue of the forest, issue of the water bodies that are being destroyed. And I don't see Mr. President's action in that direction. That is unfortunate. I expect Mr. President to make sure that all these things are done and done well. We are giving him the mandate.
Right.
And that he should act and act swiftly so that he is not accused that, yes, you look at in one breath you want to enforce the law, in another breath you don't want to. That becomes problematic. I'll move on to look at...
so very briefly on that final point, so we can wrap with the rest of the newspapers.
Yes,
but go ahead.
I will look at the issue of GRA and then a lot of people who are not captured relative to the 10 numbers and all that. I think they know what to do, how to fix it. They should fix it quickly because now every coin, every penny counts a lot. Now that we are under the umbrella of the IMF, we need to work things out very well so as not to compound the situation because already the situation is very volatile, and then things of this nature, when it continues like that, is going to undermine our very survival. So I think the GRA must employ all means necessary legally to be able to address this problem once and for all.
Let's quickly get into other papers and call it a review. There is Leave Dumsor to Mahama, Nana teases. That's the Daily Guide newspaper. It's on page 6. And President Akufo-Addo has assured Ghanaians that no matter the challenges the country may be going through, his government will not return to the dark days of intermittent power outages, famously known as Dumsor. I'm going to pause here. No, Mr. President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We are leaving Dumsor to you, at your doorstep. You know why? Because the erstwhile administration, regardless of what may be said about the cost of it and all of that, that's another debate. Dumsor ended before your tenure. That is the fact. Let's not spin, some sort of web here. If we're experiencing power outages now, akin to Dumsor, it is under your tenure. Recently, I had an interaction with energy experts and the rest, and what they said was stark, dire. We no longer have excess capacity. All that talk about excess capacity ended in 2020, 2021. Now, looking at our power needs, in the next few years, we're going to have to bring on board more IPPs. You're already begging the independent power producers. They say they need $450 million to stay afloat. You owe them up to the tune of about $1.5 billion, which you cannot pay. And instead of resolving the situation, we are talking about Dumsor should reflect on somebody. We have constant power outages. Go to Adenta, go to Adregano, go to East Legon, go to Joblu Abelenkpe. Constant power outages. Resolve that and stop pointing fingers at someone else. We've been told by the energy people that if we don't get this right, in 3 to 4 years, we'll be back at Dumsor. So what then would we have gained with all the money we spent? So, Mr. President, respectfully, let's stop this bit about passing the buck. Address the issues. Stop the talk. Walk. That's what we need. There's also special prosecutor chases Bisu over seized gold, excavators and cars, and cocoa price up 15.2%. Then there is the final newspaper. It's costly not to invest in energy to spur industrialization. President Akufo-Addo says so. And finally, Republic Press. Agric reforms underway as minister makes moves toward ensuring food security. We keep getting talk about agriculture. The former Agric minister who is now contesting to be an NPP flag bearer. Now the current one. Let's hope and see what this one will yield. But the final story, I'm sure you'll be interested. Kwabena Japan chews out Samye Uku for endorsing Bawumia. Quick thoughts and we're gone. Over to you, Doc.
Yes, I think I'll first look at the issue of doomsaw that you touch on. I also want to add my voice to it. I share in the same opinion with you that the doomsaw, as the experts have made us believe, stopped before this government assumed office. And even if now we have problems regarding doomsaw, it must be attributed to this government, nothing more, nothing less. Imagine this government had done something within the energy sector so dramatic and is yielding praises. Wouldn't the government be able to accept those praises? In politics, you don't only accept praises, but you also accept the problems or failures, and then you work at them. One thing I've realized with this government is that they always want praises, but problems, they always want to shy away from criticisms and all that. Criticisms are the oils that grease the wheels of governance without which it grinds well. So you need them at all times to guide your path, your conduct, and all that. And then another argument that they always want to refer to the former president or the former government and all that. I look at it and it's funny. Are you not the one who said that you have the magic one to turn things around, so you should be given the mandate? It's given to you. And when there are problems, you want to still go back to the old order.
Right.
Nobody will accept this. In politics, you either taste deep or taste not. And once the opportunity is given to you, you need to perform. If you can't perform, that's a different story. So I'll move on. I want to look at Kwabena Japan's, action that he has taken. I think it's in the right direction. CEOs are put into office because of the sensitive nature of the position that they hold. You are not supposed to be part of partisan politics at all. So when you see them endorsing people, then you ask yourself whether they are alive with the rules that regulate the conduct of such officers. It is not for fun that we don't want them to be part of politics, partisan politics. We know they are political animals. We know them that even before some of them assume that office, they are highly political. But once you go there, you must run away from that and then act professionally and move on. Once you do this, you create bitterness, rancor, and divisions within the party.
Right.
The NPP has its own problems, and I'm not sure they want to compound them with all these things. It is not fair. And once you do that, you undermine institutions within the country and within the political party. So I support Mr. Japan. His call is apt. It reflects what ought to be the situation, and that if the MPP want to step up their game, they must check these things. All right. Then I will also talk about...
It has to be very brief on that last point, Doc. Our time is long.
I will talk about investment in the energy sector. It is important. Nobody has to tell us that we need energy at all times, but we don't need to pay lip service to it in terms of investment. We need to invest heavily in order to achieve the results we want.
Thank you so much. And that's the conversation we've been having with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante on the back of the newspapers. Doc, as always, I wish you the best of the day and all the best at the seminar.
Thank you.
Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist at the University of Ghana, director as well of the Center for European Studies. He joined us for the news review. This segment was brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they are offering prostate screening for men for free and fertility screening for women for free. Locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. The Takrade Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanso and Siamanzima. Reach them on 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Later on, we have a special celebration for my producer, Derek Ekwasam, who celebrates a special day today. He's as big-headed as I am, so we share in many things. The Pujuba, that one we'll reserve for later. On this note, let's get off for sports. Up next.
Hello, let's do sports now on the AM show with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, and we start with the Black Stars. Thomas Partey, he's joined the team for the second training session by the technical team ahead of that qualifier against Madagascar, which is happening on Sunday. However, Gideon Mensah, he's been ruled out of the game entirely following an injury he suffered. There's more in the following report.
Day 2 completed and more minutes for the Black Stars, who intensified their training ahead of the AFCON qualifier against Madagascar on June 18. Thomas Partey, who reported for camp earlier today, was able to join his teammates train at the Accra Sports Stadium, having missed the opening day of camp. Gideon Mensah is the only absentee from the 25-man squad named by Chris Hughton, with the Ghana Football announcing that the player has been excused from the team after failing to recover in time from a knee injury he picked while playing for French League One side AJ Auxerre. Hafiz Konkoni, who only trained alone on Monday, was on Tuesday able to join his teammates in the team session and had a good run as he looked to be settling very well with the other squad. With training intensified, Chris Hughton officiated an 11 against 11 match which had no winner and no goals produced. It may be a bit of a worry, but there's still time to work on the Black Stars team with days away before they face Madagascar. And Nesuniama, Kamaldeen Sulemana, Joseph Fento and all other wingers in camp seem to have been well settled, and competition in the team seems to be growing. The Black Stars are yet to win a trophy in over 40 years, but that does not stop Ghanaians from coming to the stadium to watch even a training session. When they were denied an opportunity to come into the stadium, they never gave up as they stayed behind until they were allowed an entrance. These fans came into the Accra Sports Stadium, watched the team train and cheer them on in the over 1 hour that the team were on the pitch. The fans are excited and the players should be as well. After their training session, Chris Hughton and Joseph Fento had an opportunity to engage the media, and this is what they had to say.
There is no absolute standout first 11. What we would like to think is that there are, whatever the squad is, 23, 24, 25, players that are all pushing to want to start. That's one expectation. As a coach, you always have to give the players all of the full information. And when we do our homework and when we watch the opposition, there isn't one opposition that we see that we think we're going to win this game easy. There isn't one. Every international team is fighting to do well, and Madagascar would be no different.
Every player who is invited here is really motivated for this clash between Madagascar. Yeah, as you can see, we still have the belief. The belief is still there, the teamwork, you know, the commitment and everything. So even though they had a little bit ups and downs in their club, that doesn't really affect them in their national team. And with their mentality, they are really ready for it. And we always talk about it. And you know, their full focus is on the game. And you know, the pass is the pass, and they are always focusing on the game, which is against Madagascar. So I think every player who is invited here is really ready to give it all for the fans and for Ghanaians.
Reporting for Joy Sports, Lawrence Beidu from the Accra Sports Stadium.
To the Black Meteors now, and they are in Egypt preparing for the African Cup of Nations Under-20 tournament that starts on June 24. Ghana opens its campaign on June 25. Vice President of the Ghana Football Association, Mark Addo, has challenged the boys to go out for the ultimate. According to him, qualifying to participate in the competition is a given, and the most important thing for the team and Ghanaians is to win the trophy. This is our wrap-up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. We appreciate your company. The show continues right after this.
Welcome back on the AM show. We're glad to have you. And we're joined for the first belt of our big stories by, should I say a friend of mine? Yes, he is. He is a friend of mine. But he operates in very high places. He is this current administration's spokesperson on governance and security matters. And I love his name as well, Palgrave. First time I came across that was with a publishing house, Palgrave Macmillan. Palgrave Boakye-Danquah is our guest this morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, and it's good to be here. Thank you, Benjamin.
It's been a while. Yeah, I love the fact that you're starting to follow the suit with bead trend. Some people say, "Oh no, you shouldn't do suits with." Have you seen it when I rock my?
Yeah, very royalty. And once you go there, then we need to bring a lot of greetings and blessings. I'm told that you cannot greet the chiefs and the custodians of the land, but you bring blessings to them. And so this morning, let me bring special blessings to your Sergeant Famwiti of Oripeni, the King of Achimbo-Boakwa, and also bring blessings as well to the Asantehene, Otumfo-82. And then once we are in the custodian of the Ghana traditional area, bring special blessings to the Gamanche and all other people within the National House of Chiefs, including the President of the National House of Chiefs. And a very good morning to your viewing public. It's good to be here.
Now that you mentioned the chiefs, maybe I wouldn't have gone there, but especially as you mentioned chiefs, there was a recent incident with Mr. President and chiefs and everyone told to stand, and it was an interesting picture. I'm sure you know what exactly I'm referencing. Today, somewhere in the Daily Graphic, we have the NCC boss, another good friend of mine, Kathleen Addy, saying that when the national anthem is being sung, we must all stand. I think that goes without saying, not just today. It's been the case. Whenever I'm anywhere and the national anthem is being sung, I stand at ease, and it's only proper. But what happened on the day with the president even looking around almost as though to check whether everyone was standing when he was coming through, not when the anthem had been played. Some people have questioned that. This morning, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, political scientist, director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, had his own take on the matter. But what exactly happened beyond what we saw? What do you know? And how appropriate was all of that?
Well, so I think that beyond what we saw is that, yes, the chief, rightly so, has brought an apology to His Excellency the President of the land, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and has sought to give reason that he was in ill health, for which reason he couldn't stand during the playing of the national anthem. And so credit is given to his explanation. But it goes without saying very clearly that the national anthem is a national authority. Oftentimes it's played, and in fact always it is played when the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is in session. You realize that when the President is not in session, and there are other senior government officials, it's the General Assassinate that is played. And then also, whilst we're growing up in our basic institutions, when we have morning assembly, the national anthem is played, the national pledge is taken, where we all put our hand on our right hand on our chest, really just pledge our loyalty and our patriotism to the Ghanaian people. I believe very well that what happened has been clearly set in record. As the chief has apologized for his conduct and explained very clearly that he was in ill health. And so I'm very certain that the matter will come to rest. But it means that the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is very vigilant. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is very patriotic. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is ensuring that people continually is adhering to the love and patriotism that we have for the country.
Some say, though, that it appeared authoritarian, the approach that was used, and the Greater Accra Regional Minister and everything, the inspection and all of that. We should all rise when the national anthem is played, but where do you go off trying to identify people who are not doing it and maybe even making them uncomfortable, even at state events?
No, I don't think that the president's posture gives a posture of authoritarianism. I think that the president sought to clarify what the issue was, which is why he sent the regional minister to inquire what the real issue was. And I think that clarity came to the bear when the stool team sent a letter of apology. I've seen a copy of the letter of the apology. I've read through. I understand the issues, and I can understand that, yes, the chief was on ill health, and for which reason he couldn't stand. And you know that in recent times, most of our chiefs who are becoming chiefs are not young people. they are elderly people, they are matured people. And so clearly if they have some illnesses, I think that they can be pardoned. And the chief is pardoned, which is why they wrote an apology letter to the president to sort to bring clarity.
But wait, just clarify. I am always concerned as someone who delves into the law. You say he's pardoned. Pardoned of what? And what crime did he commit?
No, he didn't commit any crime. So when
what offense?
He didn't commit any offense. So the national anthem was played. The chief did not stand. He sought to bring an explanation and clarity to that he was of ill health, which is why he couldn't stand. And then he sought to also bring an apology to the president. I'm sure you saw the letter. The letter states very clearly that he's apologizing to the president for not observing what we are all aware of as it relates to our patriotic duty and responsibility towards the national anthem and even towards the nation.
Interesting way to look at it, but let's take a look at the video, what actually transpired on the day. Anyway, interesting dynamics there. But let me come to you, Palgrave. It's been a while since you came into the studio for us to have a conversation. A lot has happened. We've got an IMF bailout, $600 million has hit our account, but a lot has happened in terms of our currency situation. It's not, the appreciation hasn't been what some of us would have expected. The business community is still reeling. In fact, yesterday in the Economy Times, there was a story about the business community complaining about taxation. I had one of the heads of the groups reach out to me yesterday after my show and all of that. Fuel prices are still inhibitive. I'm still having to fork out every week sums of money that I can ill afford to spend. But how do you move your car? Because the other situation, which is maybe going to board public transport, a taxi or a ride-hailing service, will cost me even more. So I must stick to using my own vehicle, a 1.6 liter engine, and how much it costs me, if I tell you, you'll be surprised. But that is my reality. All of that is happening. I just want to ask you this interesting question this morning. Palgrave, if you were not on this side of government, if you were on the other side in opposition, how would you describe Ghana now? With everything that is happening, how would you describe Ghana?
Benjamin, unfortunately, I'm not at that side.
Yes, but hypothetically, imagine yourself there. And imagine that all of this were happening and you were in opposition. What would be your train of thoughts this morning?
So, Benjamin, I think that the Ghanaian patriotism endears me to be first a patriot and a citizen of the country, and to look at things in light of my patriotic responsibility.
Okay.
So I will respond as a Ghanaian and as a patriotic citizen, and even not even one as in government.
Is that to suggest that when you're in opposition, should that ever happen, then you would be unpatriotic in your...
Not at all. Not at all, which is why I'm taking the position of patriotism, because patriotism doesn't change.
Right.
Our government and successive governments may change, which would put me in a very different situation. But if I choose my position as a Ghanaian, which is my civic responsibility and my child right and birth, I think that's stable. My Ghanaian status is not going to change. So if I'm supposed to describe Ghana, I would describe Ghana from a Ghanaian perspective of an economy that is recovering. An economy that is recovering from global impact. An economy that is recovering from excessive impact that has come as a result of global indicators and exogenous factors. We can name it, and everybody is aware of that. COVID-19, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, when the war is ongoing. If I'm supposed to discuss my reality, my reality is that yes, on a daily basis, we fuel our vehicles on a regular basis. We ensure that we have livelihood, which is ongoing. We put food on our table. The reality as well is that government is not blinded to these efforts, which is why the IMF first 600 million tranche has come in to do a number of things. Debt sustainability, to ensure that CD and Forex is sustainable. I've seen that the Forex has been sustainable over the weeks since the IMF $600 million came. I've also seen that transport fares had
Did you just say the CD had been
sustainable?
Not necessarily.
The CD to dollar has been.
There was a point where it jumped to one of the highs we've seen in recent times, 12.7, on the back of that.
I agree.
It's been turbulent. It fluctuates anything between 12.7 and 11 point something. I think at a point it came to 10.7, then quickly shot up. You know why it's problematic? Because then it creates a problem for the person trying to import anything into the country. So today it is this. Next thing you know, tomorrow a CD plus has been added. Now you must add so much more to it. It's just so unstable. That's why I'm questioning that word, stability.
No, I think that it's been stable. Considerably compared to years past. You recall when our city was depreciating almost every single hour.
More like last year.
And so if you compare that to what it is now, you can considerably say that it's been sustainable over the long haul. It's been sustainable to allow private citizens, private investors, business community to be able to plan. It's been sustainable enough for people who import and people who even export out of this country to be able to do their trade. And so the sustainability is in contest of the relativity of what we used to experience a year and a half ago. Transport fares have been reduced by 10%. You recall that there was an announcement that was made and the transport fares have been reduced considerably. So a number of factors really. My reality is to see that, yes, the Ghanaian economy is recovering, and it's at the backbench of ensuring that it becomes extremely robust. And at the backbench of becoming extremely robust, we also ensuring that we are fixing all the various challenges that we have faced as a result of the exogenous factors that has hit us. And I'm in no doubt in my mind that we are in mid-year. I'm in no doubt in my mind that as we roll out the enhanced program which was presented to the IMF and also ensure that our key indicators are met, I'm in no doubt in my mind that as the year rolls on, especially even towards the Q4 of the year, we'll see a lot more fruits and results as it relates to the Ghanaian economy.
Let me avert your mind to some other developments. If I am tempted to stay on the trajectory of the economy, because usually the bread and butter issues are of a great concern to me, and the stories that keep coming to me, and the people that keep wanting you to send some momo when they don't know that you yourself, you are sticking it, slumming it hard, just trying to keep your head above water. But two stories that came to us in the papers today, I'd love to run them by you. Stalled roadworks pose danger, and you can talk about most of the interchanges, the Boakye-Buzia Highway or Beche-Bilamte interchange, Junction Mall at Nungwa, Tishi Town Roads, Zongo Junction, outer lanes on both sides of the N1. I just want you to take a look at this. And this is what I'm showing him. I know it may be a bit tricky to see. Okay, there you are. So you can see what I'm talking about right here. Yeah? Right here. You see this?
I do.
Imagine driving on that for even a week or a month and what it could do to your car. And we see spots of this practically everywhere on major roads in the cities and all of that. And you could also take a look at this and you know, just imagine that, having to drive through that with the rains and everything. That is one angle of what I want to bring to bear. Then there's also the daily guide that says, leave Dumsok to Mahama, Nana teases. And that story, I read it this morning. I want to bring that to your attention as well. And just to quote what Mr. President says, he has assured Ghanaians that no matter the challenges the country may be going through, his government will not return to the dark days of intermittent power outages, famously known as Dumsok. That, he said, was because his government had put in place effective measures to prevent the recurrence of the menace. Now, those 2 points, these, with the harsh economy and everything we're going through, the state of our roads is debilitating, devastating. Recently, we started something, we call it the Ghana Potholes Exhibition. I'm sure you may have seen it. Iran Clinic, all the way to Kolibu, or wherever you go, our roads are in a deplorable state. Now, for a government that has touted a lot about patching roads, constructing some, and doing so many other things, I don't know how you would react to that. I want you to tie that into this bit about leaving Dumso to Mahama. And I shared my candid thoughts with Mr. President this morning. I'll share again. A few years ago, barring what has become the talk of the town about, we may have not had such a good deal when we engaged our independent power producers. At the time, in fact, when you're in a crisis, who gives you a loan without certain requirements? Not in the banking sector, and definitely not when you're bringing to bear a gas situation to power your energy needs. When Mr. President says we should leave Dumso to Mahama, I ask, I don't know where you live, but in recent times, for the last few months, from Adenta to Adregano, to East Legon, to Ebri, to Abelenkpe, to Jowlu, to Newtown, to Tessano, to Dakoman, the power outages have been very frequent in some places. And sometimes I am in these places. I was at an event in Tema the other day at a hotel, I don't want to mention, and the power kept going on and off. I was host of the program, and the power kept going on and off. They had to power with their own plant. We have moved from having excess capacity to 2021 when we exhausted that. We kept saying, we've paid for so much in excess capacity. Now we don't have excess capacity. In fact, in the next few years, we're going to have to get more capacity on board, which means more IPPs. The fear, the warning from experts is that if we don't get this together, we're going to end up in major Dumso again. I don't know whether Mr. President is aware of this with his rhetoric that we should leave Dumso to Mahama. By the way, the former administration dealt with Dumso. There was no Dumso when your party took over in 2017. How do you address these two issues?
Well, Benjamin, I don't think that the president makes rhetorics. The president of the land is the first gentleman of the land. Very clearly, he speaks based on facts and evidence. But let me start with the roads.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that some of what he's saying here is not fact.
No, let me start from the roads. Let me start from the roads. Roads work is enormous. Our government has sought to ensure that we have built roads, and I brought the data here the last time to your viewing public to name the number of roads that have been done since our government took over from 2017 till date. I've seen the patchment of holes that you have shown. This is very typical, and our government is going to be tackling a number of these issues. You rose the issue of the halting of infrastructural work as it relates to roads. I drove past the picture that is on the front page of the Daily Graphic.
Right.
So I think that this is around the Junction Mall.
Yes.
I drove past there yesterday. So I can appreciate this. There's a construction that is ongoing at the Junction Mall. We are building these interchanges. You've seen.
But that's been a long time. That's been a long time coming.
Very much. It doesn't take a day to build it.
I have used that stretch. I mean, because we do some of our habitat fairs and the rest there. I have been using that. It's same. Nothing has changed.
No, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. I use that road as well. I use that road.
Shortly, we'll show you the Accra Academy stretch, and you'll see that place for yourself.
No, when it rains, the issues that we used to have over the years, we do not have that because you see, there's construction ongoing. And obviously, when there's construction ongoing, there would be some challenges as it relates to water gathering.
So that's the stretch in your shot. And these are potholes. It has nothing to do with the rain. Of course, the rain makes it worse, but it has nothing to do with on a daily basis.
I can understand. Our government is going to tackle all these roads, which is already budgeted for.
When?
No, it's ongoing. The number of patchment roads that are ongoing as I speak to you now. So we don't want to take the issues out of context to say that our government is neglecting these roads, the number of roads that our government has been tackling over the years. And I've mentioned that on your platform as well. So a number of these constructions, I mean, even on the Pokwase in Sawarum lane, there's huge construction that is ongoing. They do morning, they do night, they do evening, they do dawn. And they are redirecting the roads as well to make sure that pedestrians and motorists are having access to it. And so I can appreciate these issues. But we have launched the Year of Roads considerably to ensure that the various road challenges and the road networks and the patchments that need to be done will be taken care of.
Now,
let me go to
Dumso.
On Dumso.
But let me just find out. Let me add. You know, the IPPs are saying that to stay afloat, they'll need $450 million. We're indebted to them to the tune of $1.5 billion. I really don't know how we're going to get out of that scrape, because they've threatened if by the end of this month, the 30th day of this month, we don't deal with that situation, they would either start rationing, you know what that means, or totally go off the grid. We're talking about 70% of our power needs.
Benjamin, you have no
So, that is why I find it so curious the trajectory on which Mr. President chooses to go.
Because where Mr. President sits, you and I don't sit there.
I see.
Yes.
I'm hoping he knows something that we don't know.
Absolutely.
Because we've spoken to Mr. Ametogbo, we've spoken to the IPPs, we've spoken to the energy experts.
Where Mr. President sits. Benjamin, you would appreciate that. Where Mr. President sits, you and I don't sit there.
Do you know why I'm a bit... I accept what you're saying. Where he sits, what he gets to see, what he gets to know, I do not know. I accept. But sometimes, if you recall his utterances on the back of... before the IMF deal, on the back of, so when we get the first tranche, this is what we're going to be able to do. And then subsequently saying, now we're going to be able to access the loan market and all of that. Then sometimes I begin to question what sort of filler he gets. That is why I'm also a bit curious about this. That's the point I want to make. But you go ahead.
No, I can appreciate that. But I can say that, some of the things that the president says has been taken out of context. Like I state, let me re-emphasize that where the president and Danquah Kufuor sit, you and I do not sit there. And so when the president makes statements, it's in context of the information that he knows and then how well he's driving this country into the right path. So the president has stated that Dumso is a thing of the past. I want to trust what the president says.
Did your government end Dumso?
I want to.
Did this administration end Dumso?
Absolutely.
You did?
Absolutely.
What did you do?
Absolutely. Since we came, have you seen any Dumso?
No. I'm saying, did your administration end Dumso? How did you do it?
Since we came, have you experienced any Dumso?
No, but was it on the back of anything you did?
At the time, government is successive, okay? At a time when...
No. Let's do this. Let's do this exercise. If you did something, if you added a kilovolt or a kilowatt or whatever, you'd be able to say, we did this, we constructed this, it gave us this amount of electricity, and on the back of that, we ended Dumso. The other side can say that. What did your party do?
Benjamin, we came in 2017.
Right.
Obviously, when we picked up the Ghanaian economy, we sought to recover the Ghanaian economy. We grew at a single-digit inflation over the couple of years from 2017, 2018, 2019, until we were hit with COVID-19. We ensured that we kept the lights on. The lights have been on considerably. These IPPs negotiations that didn't go well, we rebudgeted that as well, and then we renegotiated and saved the Ghanaian economy a lot of US dollars. The finance minister alluded to that. Clearly.
Can I go back to the question of what exactly you did to end Dumso?
No, you want to say that we didn't end.
You corroborated. You said that you had ended Dumso. And I'm asking, what did you do? Did you add anything to our electricity grid? Did you add anything to our power needs? Actually, why we're here now is because you've added practically nothing. That is why now, you see, we've moved from... No, you've added practically nothing. I'm not saying nothing. I said you've added practically nothing.
No, but
the excess capacity...
Added anything.
No, here's the thing.
You don't have
why we've moved from excess capacity to now being on the threshold of, with our population increment and everything, in the next few years, having to likely face Dumso again, is because of that. That's why I'm asking you, what exactly have you done?
The Ghanaian people are not going to experience Dumso again in the next few years.
But that can't just be a beggar's wish, wishing for horses to ride.
I'm telling you,
it must be practical what you're doing.
I'm telling you on fact. What I wanted to say is even on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. It says ECG backup Accra power supply. The president opened it up, inaugurated close to about $40 million US dollars, 161 kV electricity.
You're talking about the 161 kV.
Yes.
I am saying that something has been done. But you've done practically nothing compared to what was done before.
Did you see the bulk distribution in Pokwasi?
So that should save us from doom. So is that what you're saying?
The number of considerable involvement and the number of considerable...
Do you think the energy experts have been interacting with who know of all this are not aware when they tell you that? Do you know what our electricity consumption is?
Obviously, I'm aware. I'm aware of what our electricity consumption is. I'm aware that the Ghanaian people contribute to a number of these issues. Which is why I'm stating that if you state that in the next few years we're going to experience doom, so I think it's inappropriate.
I am not saying it, actually. It's all the energy experts I interacted with, I think only yesterday, some in Oman, others in this country, who are saying that, look, where we are in terms of our energy mix, we are now trying to go nuclear. That's been a long time coming. Since Nkrumah, we've not got that done yet. But with what we have currently, and the add-ons and the increments in our population, and the fact that we've moved from excess capacity to where we are now, if we're not careful in the next few years, 2, 3, 4 years, Doomsaw will be back. And it will, imagine it got resolved by 2017. If we go back to that, how would that make any sense?
We're not going to go back to Doomsaw.
But we're experiencing power outages now.
I have no experience the power outages that you're talking about.
Where do you live?
The area I live in this country.
I mean, I don't know, from my camera people in the studio to my director. Mr. Director, whisper to me, do you ever get any power outages?
Power outrages. I live in
every day. Do you mind telling us where you live?
I live in the communities where people live. I live in the communities where people live.
Everybody here, from my producer to my director to my sound person to me.
You experience power outages?
Massa, practically every week.
Really?
That's why I'm asking, where do you live?
I live in this country.
Hey,
I live in the communities where the people live. And that's the truth. That's the truth, Benjamin. I drive
all right,
around,
so I want us to do this.
I drive around town. I don't see any power.
One of my camera people is, you can see him. You can look at him. He's saying every 2 days.
Every 2 days.
He gets a power outage. So this is what I want you to do, Ghana for. If you've been experiencing a power outage in your community, shoot me a message on Facebook. And if not, Mr. Producer, Derek Ekosam, do I have your permission? I'm activating the phone lines now. If you've experienced power outages in the last week or two, whatever your community is, just call 0302 211 691. We'll add your conversations into this 0302 211 691. Call that number, let me know. And if you've also not been experiencing power outages, also call and let us know. Corroborate what he's saying.
There may be reasons why other sectors of the country is experiencing power outages. But the sizable part of the sectors within this country, I can say of a truth, are not experiencing power outages. That's the truth. I don't see that people in Adenta, Nima, or Choko, those areas.
Okay, just a second.
I don't see
Alhaji Karim is on the line calling from New Legon. Alhaj, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm well, sir. Please, when you call, straight to the point so that we can take as many as possible.
Yeah, Alhaji Karim calling from New Legon, Katamanso. Every 2-3 days, that off is off. Every 2-3 days off.
Katamanso, new Katamanso, you said.
Katamanso, New Legon. Katamanso, that was that just going to that Katamanso, and then how do you call people station, yeah.
Every 2 or 3 days, light off.
Every 2 days, light off. Every 2 days, off and on. You can go up more than 5 hours, 6 hours, more than 3 hours, more than 4 hours. It depends. But every 2-3 days.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. So we have one person who has called in. What really gets me sometimes, Palgrave, is that there was this day I could count within a 24-hour cycle between one day and the next day. My lights had gone off and returned 6 times.
Benjamin,
6 times.
Where do you live?
I'll leave that for now.
You can say
I'll leave that out.
In the public, like the way I can say mine as well.
But it's really worrying, especially when you have equipment. So imagine, part of that time, I was at home. So you see your equipment going on, off, your fridge, Thomas is on the line. Hello, good morning.
Yes, madam. I'm speaking from Techiman. Techiman, we don't experience power outage.
Where did you say Techiman?
Techiman, we don't experience it. But I was in the Sampa. It was pre-chop. And that's why we should blame the EC. And we should blame the ACG people. Techiman, no power outage. At the moment, I'm in my room watching you.
All right,
Techiman,
thank you.
No. Yeah, but I traveled to Sampa and a day 4 times. So I think the ECG people, yes, Sampa place.
Okay.
Chairman, North.
All right. All right.
So then we should blame the EC.
We should blame the ECG.
Yeah,
but you know, they just distribute. They don't produce power. But thank you.
But if the equipment are not good, they should repair them for us. Because they are spoiling our things. When I go to Sampa, my fridges, everything is spoiled.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Thomas, for sharing your thoughts. We'll also be reaching out to our Bono East regional correspondent. I don't mean today, but we'll be getting some of these details from them to find out what exactly is happening. This one, Aminatu sends a message. She says, light out there almost every day, even last night at Kaswa and on Monday morning at Botim and Snit Flats. So that's a message coming through. All right, so we'll take a last call on this one so we can move forward with the conversation. Jacob, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Zuarugu specifically.
Zuarugu?
Zuarugu, yes.
All right. What's the situation there in terms of power?
Since yesterday, we have unstable power supply. It's coming off on off. It's just like a disco light.
All right. So you find yourself in some sort of disco, eh?
Off and on, like disco light. After night, it's still happening.
All right. Thank you, all of you, for sharing your thoughts. Jacob, Thomas, Alhaj, among others. So there you have it. You have your verdict.
Yeah, I do. I do have my verdict. It's not a full representation.
We have something from up north. We have something from in town. We have Techiman. At least it's representative.
No, not entirely.
No, but it's representative. You have a triangle from different aspects of the country.
An entire description, but I can appreciate that. I would go and have an investigation into it, and I think that at a later date we can have a broader conversation on why these issues are happening. And I'm sure that with your credible source as well, you can invite ECG to come here and explain why these issues are happening, so that we can be able to move on to these issues. But we need to state emphatically, the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says that we should leave Dumso in the past. I believe him. I trust him, and I know that that's the truth. And also, we're also ensuring that as a government, whatever that is needed to be done to keep our lights on a regular basis, we will do that. And that's what the people of this country have voted for us to do.
Recently, we heard the Vice President saying that come 2024, in fact, from now, when your party elects a flag bearer and all of that, you are going to be campaigning on your... What did he say? Your record. He said something in particular, your credentials as a party, your record. And some were asking, what record exactly? The economy is flailing. Corruption is on the ascendancy. In fact, it's risen to the highest that we've seen in any time within this Fourth Republic, one of the highest, probably. Why? Because we have the Corruption Perception Index. We also have, last year, I don't know whether you followed, the Ghana Statistical Service, in conjunction with one of the UN agencies, came out with not a perception index, but a reality index, which targeted all state institutions. And again, it was a stark reality that we had to face. You can talk at different facets. We were just talking about roads. We're talking about power issues. So what exactly is the NPP going to campaign on to break the 8?
Benjamin, the NPP political party has exceeded much of what we even said we would do. We put together 16 flagship programs from 2017. You can take a pen and start listing them. Free SHS, number 1. Number 2, one district, one factory. We've deployed that. Number 3, the digitalization of the Ghanaian economy is the thread within which the economy strives. We've digitalized the Ports and Harbour. As I speak to you, the Ports and Harbour is digitalized. We've digitalized DVLA. We've digitalized the passports. We've digitalized birth and death. As I speak to you, every single child that is born as I speak to you now would have a unique number from birth till death. We've sought to have a unique address system for every single household. A thing of the past, of the blue kiosk, of the lotto kiosk, of the watch seller has become a thing of the past. We've digitalized and decentralized every single aspect of the Ghanaian economy. We've brought in drones, zipline drones that distribute medication and health activities. In terms of infrastructure, we're building this Agenda 111, which are at various stages of completion. We can look into that at a later date. We spoke about roads. I mean, we've done considerably a number of roads, highways, parchment roads. We can appreciate the various ones that are undone yet, but it would not be left undone. Those roads will be done before our government ends its tenure. Number of things that we have done. We have also sought to bring in assembling of vehicles. We have assembling of vehicles in this country that are ongoing. Education. We've brought in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to enable that the young people have an opportunity to start their dream career, even from a younger age. We've brought in free TVET. So the number of successes that the Ghanaian economy has struck is enormous.
You've mentioned a number of things. If I asked you what the impact of those had been, what exactly would you say?
No, I think that the impact is felt by the Ghanaian people. The one district, one factory, the impact is felt by the Ghanaian people. There were existing industries that we reboosted them. That in fact is felt by the Ghanaian people. I have a list here if you want me to go through.
We have a hotline documentary, I think, one district, no factories, and all of that. Well, you can take a look at that and tell me what the reality is with 1D1F.
No, I can go through all the.
You do realize that if 1D1F had lived up to expectation within this period, part of our problem, we probably wouldn't be at the doorstep of the IMF. We would have industrialized. Businesses wouldn't be flailing the way they are. You do realize that.
Businesses under the one district, one factory is thriving. There's a shoe fabric limited under the one district, one factory. There's the Omnifet limited at Ningo Pram Pram. There's the Zura Carbon Products limited at Kwewu West. There's the Ayum Forest Products Limited. There's the Northbound Hygiene Care Industries Limited in Pong Katamanso. There's the Golden Ashanti African Consumer Products in Pong Katamanso again. There's the Sunda Ghana Diapers Limited at South. There's the Volta Star Textiles in North Tong. You know the constituency as well. There's the Navina Cattle Garments.
I'm sure we could go on and on for the sake of time.
Exactly.
But do you know why usually I take this with a pinch of salt? Because when we've had let me just make this point.
You don't have to take
when we've had a number of people come on this show and other shows.
Realities.
Sometimes you go to these places and we found some of these factories to be non-existent, some of them to be incomplete and producing nothing, and some of them even which were in existence because it's also part of the drive where some were already in private hands and government extended some sort of help. The people would tell you we're bleeding because they gave us a first tranche of something in terms of tax waivers and this and that, and now actually we're worse off. So you can mention the list, but when you go on the ground, it 99% is a different story.
No, I think that you water down the approach and the efforts of government with that approach, to be honest. I think that I can list these, you and I can go on the ground, would come back to your station and let the Ghanaian people see that it's 99% accurate.
Okay, so how about we do this? Derek Akwasam, let's, and that's my producer, by the way. Today's his birthday, so he's. Let's maybe do this one of these days, and we're not going to let you know which one's on the list.
That's fine.
We may just go to some of them randomly to see how they are faring with you in tow and our camera people.
Yes, I would be happy.
And see what the reactions are.
Yeah,
Deal?
I don't mind. It's a deal. It's a
handshake on that?
Absolutely. And we can also go with the Secretariat because this is under the Secretariat, and then we can all see the efforts.
We'll plan it and see what's happening.
The efforts of work that has been done under one district, one factory. It's a concern to water down the efforts of government as it relates. Because
there's no benefit from watering down. It's not to say there are no factories.
Of course, but there are factories, and these are
to say that a lot of the time what is touted is not the reality.
Well, this is the reality. Okay. These are factories.
So we can always cross-check and work with your list.
Facts and make sure that these factories are in existence. These factories are working. It's provided jobs for the Ghanaian people, provided jobs for the young people, and we are seeking to industrialize the Ghanaian economy.
Let's get into a few more issues before we wrap the conversation. I would like to look at Agenda 111. I think it's Professor Benka who recently said that, look, all that you're doing is not realistic. Because guess what? You cannot complete 111 hospitals, district and otherwise, within the period that is left. You're going to throw in a lot of our money. They are not going to be completed. You're going to leave a lot of abandoned projects. And you can't tell me that this is someone, if you know Professor Benka, you know exactly what he stands for in terms of health practice. There's also the bit about ending up with the IMF, one more time. We have a new Hotline documentary, A Nation That Begs. It boggles my mind that Ghana is the topmost producer of gold once more on the continent and beyond. We've taken it again from South Africa. We were there, they took over in 2021 or so, or 2020. We've taken over again. We're the second largest producer of cocoa. Just about a year or so ago, we were the topmost exporter of yam. Many people don't know that. We have 3 oil fields, which previous administrations did not have, which you have, your administration has. We have lithium, bauxite, manganese, which can spur you on, steel production and the rest if you want to industrialize. Why are we going to the IMF again? And how does this vicious cycle end? So Agenda 111 and the economy. And then I'll give you a final, or if you like, I could add it. The former President Mahama also says his tenure, his administration was way better than yours. What's your reaction? So 3 in 1. You can address them and then we'll wrap the conversation.
Okay, let me start with the latter, because that's easier to deal with. I think that John Dramani Mahama, the former president of the land, cannot say that his tenure is more, what word did he use? I just want to get it right. What word did he use?
Oh, he says it was better than this.
It's inaccurate. It's inappropriate. I think that the Ghanaian people are aware of his leadership compared to the leadership of President Danquah Kufuor. Definitely our tenure.
So can you break it down? What makes his claim false?
Well, if he should bring the facts out.
But what is your evidence against his?
I think that in the John Dramani Mahama, was there one district, one factory? You tell me. In the John Dramani Mahama,
where factory is not put up?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it was in the John Dramani Mahama administration. Was there the industrialization of the Ghanaian economy in the John Dramani Mahama?
What are you saying, Palgrave?
Oh, well, what I'm saying is the facts. You asked me to bring the facts to bear. In the John Dramani Mahama, was there the industrialization of the Ghanaian economy in the John Dramani Mahama?
When you say industrialization, what do you mean?
What do you understand by industrialization?
I want to understand what your appreciation is of industrialization. Giving a name to something doesn't necessarily mean...
Industrialization is how, okay, we've brought automobile vehicles into this country, assembling plants. Was there the assembling of vehicles?
So that's the huge achievement. When there's local content that we're ignoring.
We didn't ignore local content. Kantanka, we invested in Kantanka. Kantanka is...
How much has been invested in Kantanka?
You can get a reference and look at it. We shared equitably in the investment of the local industries. In terms of in the John Dramani Mahama, was the Ghanaian economy dictates in the John Dramani Mahama. If you look at the number of successes that we have chalked, I don't think that the former president has a locus to state that his administration.
You say was there digitalization? The drives didn't start with this administration. The DVLA, for example, their digitalization drives did not start with this administration. Are you aware of that?
We have picked it.
Are you aware of that?
We have picked it.
No, you say there was no digitalization, and I'm telling you, are you aware of that?
Are you no?
When you talk about the construction of roads and infrastructure, are you saying that is not part of industrialization?
When we did the various housing address system, was that existent in the John Dramani Mahama?
You're talking about a housing address system.
Housing address system.
There was someone who also put up housing units in Saglemi. They've been wasted.
It's not wasted.
They have not. Have you been there lately?
Well,
have you seen the state of the place?
I've read the document. I've seen the state of the place. Our government is working on it to make sure that it restores it back. If you
I thought it was going to be sold per what Francis Asensumbachi said.
If you build and you don't tie that in to the needs of the people, it gets neglected. What was the purpose for which Saglame was built?
It was a housing project.
It was a housing project for which people?
Wow. For public servants, among others.
And where is it located? And where are the public servants working? You need to ensure.
You do realize. Have you taken a look at the road construction in that area?
You need to ensure. You
do realize that the center is becoming packed with people, and you need to move outside of
when you are
to the outskirts.
When you are decentralizing, You need to ensure that you decentralize holistically. You decentralize holistically where the various offices as well also become decentralized, which is why our government seeks to decentralize the Ghanaian economy. And so the successes that we have chalked as a government, I don't think that it comes any close to what John Dramani Mahama is claiming to have done. You look at free SHS. Was free SHS existent in John Dramani Mahama's time? Was free TVET existent in John Dramani Mahama's time? So the successes that we have chalked, I don't think that it comes anywhere close to what John Dramani Mahama is stating. Now let me move on to Agenda 111. Now, I have a data that I would speak to very clearly and very confidently. The Agenda 111 is in various zones. We've placed the construction. Just yesterday, there's a team in the central region. I can send the videos to you for you to show to your viewing public, for them to be able to see the number of works that is ongoing. The Agenda 111, there are various zones, maybe close to about eight zones, and I would just cross-reference that for you to see. So in Zone 1, and afterwards I will list them. So let me just list them. In Zone 1, all the 11 district hospitals in Zone 1 have started and they are progressing steadily. In Zone 2, the district hospitals have also started and progressing steadily. In Zone 3, 3 out of the 14 hospitals have started and ongoing steadily. Ayensuano is under another MOH project and will be replaced. 3 at Adieso, Abobloshi, and Dansuman is being redesigned into a high-rise and plans to just complete Medina, Dansuman, and the likes. Zone 4 to Zone 7, out of the 12 district hospitals, have started and progressing steadily. Ashaman, Jowulu, English, Amenfrom, we are redesigning them. Tema Community 18. Zone 5, 12 out of the 12 hospitals, district hospitals, have started and ongoing steadily. Zone 6 and 7 and 8, 11 and 15 out of the hospitals have started and progressing steadily. We are building psychiatric hospitals. Just recently, about last week, the president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, opened the aspect of Kolebu, if you recall. Did you capture that? Benjamin, I'm asking you, did you capture that?
Go ahead. We did.
You did?
We did.
Exactly.
I'm even surprised you're even going towards psychiatry because it's one of the most, in fact, when it comes to our health.
It's a neglect.
When it comes to our health, one of the most deprived aspects is mental health care. I'm even surprised you're going there. That's why I'm just watching you.
No, in fact, I am excited that our government is considering that. You tell me any government that
after what? Close to 7 years. Well, you're now considering it.
No, our government. You see, where you make it in that way.
No, because have you been to Pantang? When I say something, it's on a premise. Have you been to Pantang?
Are you aware?
There are doctors there. Doctors.
Are you aware?
Do you know the facility they are in?
Of course. Are you aware of the plans that we have for Pantang? It came out. You saw it. We have plans for Pantang. These psychiatric hospitals, I know they are very key.
Almost 80 years. You now have plans.
No, we have had
the doctors are in a ramshackle structure that actually could cave in at any point.
We have had those plans. The psychiatric hospital is going to be redesigned and rebuilt. We have had those plans, and I can list the hospitals for you here in Central Region, in DSO, in Western North, in Adabokrom, in Western North again, in Bodi, in Western North again, in Diadiaso, in Ahafo, in Kukum.
Okay, so here's what I want us to do. So you have the list. Have the list. But I want you to do this. I want you to do this for me. This is Professor Benka and why he feels Agenda 111 will fall flat on its face. Let's watch what he says.
One of the two critical things that we took out from the COVID was that there were not enough health facilities across the country. So we rightly started what is called Agenda 111 to increase health infrastructure. Okay? 111 hospitals. Goodness. That's a great idea. But why couldn't we just say, okay, this year we'll build 20. Next year, 20. Till we get to what? 111. So far, we haven't built any. Okay? When is the first one going to finish? So we've just gone on a tangent. The truth of the matter is that the Agenda 111 will have many uncompleted structures in the bush at the end of the day. That's the truth. You all know it. I've not seen the budget for the equipment. Building brick and mortar is not a hospital. If you can't find money to build a brick and mortar, how are you going to fund the equipment? Number two, have you made preparations for the human resource that make the hospital function? As of yesterday, I heard 6,000 nurses have gone to real greener pastures, and more will follow. 6,000. This is not a joke. So we got 100 million to start up the Agenda 111. Look, sometimes I'm not sure how these things work, but at the last count, we were told that the Agenda 111 will cost almost $1 billion. When you get 100 million, you don't start to build 111. You have to face it in. Or now you have started 111 hospitals all over the place. Have you got the 900 million? Now we are to IMF. Big IMF comes and says, I'm sorry, you can't be investing in capital expenditure when you can't find money to pay your salaries of your workers. Or you can't give textbooks to your school people. I don't want to get into that politics.
That is Professor Benka and Professor Fred Benka. He is a professor of epidemiology at the University of Health and Allied Sciences. What's your take on that? And you mentioned something about various stages of completion. What stages? 80%, 50%, 90%? Do you know why it's relevant? You remember what we said about the stadia? 98%, 90%. Look at them now.
I won't get.
So let's know. Do you know the various stages of?
Let me start it from here. I would want to throw an invitation to Professor Benka to come on the ground. The work is on the ground. The construction is ongoing.
And who is seeing this? Okay, so I'm throwing the challenge to you and your communications team, right? Bring us footage of the work on the ground.
I would bring you footages of the work.
And we'll also be doing some.
I would bring you footages of the work on the ground. But I would also invite the professor of epidemiology to come to the sites that are being constructed. He would be marveled. He would say kudos to President Nana Addo Dankwa for his forthrightness. Seriously, for his forthrightness. We can appreciate that. That yes, you build the hospitals are built, the hospitals are finished, the nurses and the doctors are placed there. All of these are various stages that needs to be considered, and our government has considered that. The first stage is that we're building the hospitals. I was mentioning the hospitals that are being built in the towns for you to know and for the Ghanaian people to know. I told you that we are in Central Region. The team is in Central Region. Gomoa Fete, there's Gomoa Afranse, ongoing. Construction is ongoing. There's Asimbreku, ongoing. Ewutu, in Suamemu, Chechenwe, Heman, in Sabah, Agona Ahanta, in Poho, Ofuase, Akim Shredro, Manso, Zone 3. In Eastern Region, there is Abomosu, ongoing. There's also another one at Atimpoku. There's Tiase, there's Adieso in Zone 5, which is Greater Accra. There's Pram, there's Sege, there's Soutum, there's KJB, there's Jasikan, there's Sindring, there's Pasi. In Upper West, where my brothers and sisters are, there's Issa, there's Fusi, there's Lambusi, there's Golu, there's
I'm sure we could go on and on, but with time, we'll find out what the various stages of completion that you've been talking about are.
Yes, I mean,
we'll get into them. Interestingly, I have a comment coming in.
Zone 7, Bono East.
Don Lewis says,
these are ongoing.
I have witnessed 2 Agenda 111 hospitals, which are in various stages of completion. KJG, Brong East, roofing. He says roofing. And then Chinderi, Oti, which is at the foundational stage.
Accurate.
Time will tell. We'll get there.
It's all here.
Palgrave, we have to end it here. Our time is up.
Usanyo. So these hospitals are completed. So I would invite Professor Benka to move away from the lecture room and come to the site. He should wear his volunteer boots and join all of us.
Don't forget the 1D, 1F challenge. We'll try and get it out.
Not at all. Together with the Secretariat from One District, One Factory.
All right.
But our government is working seriously, and we are making sure that we are meeting the plight and the needs of the Ghanaian people. And I can tell you that the New Patriotic Party is the party of choice for the Ghanaian people. In 2024, the Ghanaian people will make a constructive decision on who to vote for as it relates to the future of this country. And I believe that the party will be the New Patriotic Party. Thank you, Benton.
Palgrave Boakye-Danquah is government spokesperson on governance and security, and it's been another interesting one. Obahatemia fireworks. All right. Welcome back on the AM show. To help us get into that Boku situation, what is brewing there and what Rise Ghana is doing to mitigate the situation. We have Awal Ahmed Kariama, he's Executive Director, Rise Ghana, and he joins us for a conversation. A very good morning to you, Awal.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Great. It's good that we're talking about Boku one more time. It's good and it's bad. It's good in the sense that we're trying to find a lasting solution to the word I'm looking for is not coming, but the disturbance is there.
Perfect word.
Bad for me because I dislike it when we always have to go back to that situation in Boku and it's always in a negative light. But on the back of the recent incidents in that area, what can you share with us?
Yeah, so first of all,
what's happening basically in Boku?
So I think that, like you rightly said, it's very difficult and inconvenient to discuss Boku because Boku keeps coming back and keep worsening day by day. It's unfortunate that we'll have to talk about Boku again. But let me just cut in and say a happy birthday to your colleague Echo, and also wish him the very best of life and a more happy life going forward. And also to your colleagues here, we've heard remotely about the passing on of your chief camera person,
Modestus
Zame. And then I want to express my condolence to your team and the family on that regard. I'm talking about Boku. Basically, the Boku situation has been a kind of a roller coaster. There is some relative peace for some few days, and then also some few days we go back to where we are. As we speak, for the past few days, there have been a series of gun battles, a series of shooting in the area that has unfortunately led to the loss of lives as usual. But unfortunately, we don't seem to have a hand onto how we can nip this canker in the bud permanently. But I must say that certain processes have been triggered by the responsible authorities to do this. And so there is an element of people participating in what are called some form of violent extremism and linking it to ethnic lines where people just take uncoordinated action. Sometimes these actions may not be sanctioned by any of the ethnic groups, but individuals who have sour grapes, who have scores to settle, will take up the matter, and they will continue to cause a lot of confusion in the area. So the main problem that we have in Boku now is the fact that the proliferation of small arms in the hands of individuals and civilians is a very serious matter. So far, the military and the intelligentsia on the security agencies on the ground have been engaging on a series of search and retrieve. And in fact, some time back, there was even an amnesty granted to people who have weapons and to present them and then to get an award. But over the years, that seemed to have
very few people actually
very few people are taking advantage of that. Unfortunately, then it's continuing, and it is because no civilian should carry a weapon. It's unacceptable, it's illegal because the safety of the individual should be guaranteed by the state in which they find themselves.
Wait, are you speaking just for Boku? Because there are conditions under which people can go and procure arms.
Well, as we speak,
for safety purposes.
Yes, as we speak now.
That is available. So are you speaking just for Boku?
Yes, just for Boku. First of all, we must establish that Ghana as a sovereign nation has a duty, a legal and moral obligation to protect all citizens. And so, in as much as we have a law that allows certain individuals to acquire and license firearms, there is a certain parameter within which
there's a threshold.
There's a threshold, and there's a reason for and basis for that. But as we stand now, the law and the current operational protocol in Boku is that all manner of persons are banned from carrying and owning weapons. All manner of civilians. So that is the law and that is the protocol in terms of the security protocol that exists in the Boku area. So under no circumstances should any individual, a private citizen, register a weapon or carry a weapon about. So anybody who is holding a weapon and a rifle is illegal and must be prosecuted, arrested and prosecuted. But unfortunately, the people on the ground are so evasive that they beat the security. You don't really know how the weapons come in loads from across the border areas into the east. We know that with the...
You see that portion you just said, that sometimes it beats the imagination, how they are able to beat the security operatives. There have also been allegations in the past that some of the security operatives, some of them, sometimes they are locals or they have affiliation, and so they work in cahoots with these people. Is that something that has come to your attention as well?
There's no system that is 100% foolproof, or there are no systems that we don't have partners. Yes, it's possible that security authorities some security authorities may be behind it, but that has not especially come to our notice. We do not have any evidence to say that some security apparatus have been involved in this. But what I know in terms of the security arrangement is the fact that when you consider the geography of Bawku, we have the Bawku Municipal, where majority of the conflict is centered on. But in recent time, some other small villages, we have had incidents of people being accosted and shot as they travel about. And then also when you look at the curfew, it's usually situated within the Bawku municipality. The ban of wearing smokes and other heavy
I remember that.
Heavy clothing.
That you shouldn't wear such clothing because people were hiding arms in them.
The riding of motorbike is centered around the Bawku municipality, which is fair in terms of where the conflict is situated. However, that is not a very proactive security measure in that there are surrounding villages within Bawku. So for instance, if you travel about 6 kilometers, 10 kilometers, you go into a district called Binduri district. The curfew doesn't affect Binduri district. And there are, you know how our communities and border town, especially in Bawku, are structured. There are unapproved routes. So people can just pass anything. So if we have a curfew centered around the Bawku municipal and all the peripheries of the Bawku municipal, and we have other towns where curfew is not located. So we have neighboring districts like Pusga, we have neighboring districts like Garu, we have neighboring districts like Binduri. All these places are surrounding Bawku. Once they are surrounding Bawku, people are more likely to come and then they can hide weapons within these areas and they can smuggle it into Bawku. So it makes the dynamics very complex in terms of the movement of arms. So our biggest problem now, Bawku, is to de-escalate the tensions, retrieve the weapons, and then put in a sort of incentive where citizens can volunteer information and then also work on a lot of fake news and propaganda that is ongoing because the citizens are misleading the security authorities. They are not, and the level of trust between the citizens and the security authorities is fading. And once, like I said...
Why do you think that is?
So for instance, people get arrested. There are a series of cases pending before the court. Some of them have been granted bail. And so, but for those that are in the course, I'm not able to speak to the details of it because they are still being adjudicated. But some of them have been granted bail and they are back and they are celebrated. Some of them are seen. And I mean, one of the late former MPs of Bawku, God bless his soul, once said that in Bawku, everybody knows everybody. So people go back and people know that these are criminals or these are people who are actively involved in the conflict. And from both sides, they get acquitted and discharged from the courts and they go back to the communities and they go back. So nobody has essentially...
So in other words, the level of trust has ebbed.
Has ebbed.
It's at a low.
Totally, very low because people see that we see this person carrying a weapon and the person was arrested and the person goes through the court process and the person is back. So they wonder, when I see somebody with a weapon, should I report the person to the authorities or what should I do? Would the authorities really discipline the person?
So there are two sides to that. One is that the law must take its course, and sometimes what you think is black, the law may look at it and say that, well, there are different dynamics to that shade of black you see. But of course, if the person is engaged in something criminal and is sent to court, then you would expect that, certain actions would be taken. So I get there are two sides to that coin. But even more, also important, not even more, but also important in there is the Bawku West situation and the Fulani dynamic. In recent times, we've had a lot to say about that. I remember some time back, I don't know whether it was in that area, but some Fulani communities were attacked and all of that. Some places burnt, people burnt and all. What is the scope of that?
Yes, so it's unfortunate that the issue of the attacks on the Fulbeys, so the proper term for that ethnic group or people of that ethnic extraction is Fulbey.
Fulbey.
Fulbey. Yes.
Fulbey.
Fulbey, yes, please. Okay. The Fulani is a bit derogatory.
I see.
So they prefer to be referred to as Fulbe if it's a single.
Are you saying that generally
yes,
Fulani is derogatory or for them, just for them?
It's derogatory. I mean, they are Fulbe people. They are not Fulanis.
Right.
So we've been calling them from ages. Many people do not know this.
Because I've read in articles,
yes, it's in literature,
in historical works,
yes,
Fulani. So I'm a bit taken aback.
It's true, but you may look into it further. But the actual proper term and the proper ethnic group is the Fulbe people. They are the Fulbe people. And then if a singular person is a Fulo, that's a Fulani man. So, or a Fulani person. So, I mean, that...
You say the single is what?
Fulo.
Fulo. Okay, all right.
So the unfortunate incident of the attack on the Fulbe. So from now on, we're going to stop using the term Fulani and use the proper term.
I'll read into that.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And so the attack on the people of the Fulbe extraction is becoming more pronounced. And recently, like you rightly said, in the Upper West region. But thankfully, we must say that the police has moved swiftly to make some arrests. A number of young people have been arrested in the area. But we want to go further to say that even though that is a progress in terms of the issue, but the issue of attacks on Fulbes is not limited to Boku West alone. Some time ago in parts of northern region, in the Yendi district area, some Fulbes were attacked and their homesteads were burnt. And then also some Fulbes were attacked in the Karaga district in the northern region. And then one of the Fulbes, you see, that's why we are worried as an institution. Rise Ghana is worried because the persecution of certain ethnic groups or particular ethnic groups because of their identity and labeling has a risk of creating more exploitative capacity for violent extremist organizations. There are terrorist organizations, there are violent extremist organizations who are waiting on the fringes to come and pat somebody at the back and say that you are not recognized, you are being discriminated against. We have a way to recognize you. We will give you the platform to express yourself. So one Fulo person from Karaga district went to Mali and engaged in some of the terrorist attacks and recorded a video saying that all Fulbes should rise up because they were being persecuted against and they are regarded as non-citizens. And so when you have a crime committed and you lump up, and I must say that because of this is TV, we must put it in context that yes, we know that there are instances Fulbes have attacked communities and allegedly raped women, but there are 5 different categories of Fulbes that we need to understand. Majority of the cattle that are taken care of in Ghana are taken care of by Fulbes, but they belong to other prominent Ghanaian citizens, with business interests, but they don't keep their cattle themselves. We have chiefs, we have politicians, we have businessmen whose cattle are being kept by the Fulbe people. So that's a category of Fulbe. They are resident, they are our business partners, they'll stay there. There is another, because of time, there's another last category of the Fulbes who are migrant. They are
the nomads. They go around.
The transhumans. They go around. They don't have a particular station. They follow where the pasture is. So such people, they don't have any affinity with any community. So when they come to the community and they can commit crime and go, but that should not presuppose that because they are Fulbes, we should just lump everybody.
I get the point. And those 2 categories I am aware of, those who have been here for practically centuries and those who come through. But it also behoves our state institutions to be able to check on some of these things. Just to wrap the conversation, so Rise Ghana, what exactly are you doing to calm tensions in Boku and what are your expectations? Just a couple of
Yes, so we are running a project called Improving the Security of Northern Border Communities through an organization called COGINTA and the European Union. We're working with young people to ensure that they adopt positive diplomacy instead of being radicalized. We know increasingly senior high schools have seen a lot of conflict. So we're working with young people in the Upper East region in 15 schools to be able to ensure that they adopt positive approach to resolving their differences. We're working with Queen Mothers. There are 102 Queen Mothers in the Upper East region. We're working with them, building their capacity on leadership and prevention of conflict and violence extremism, so that we are using them to be able to broker peace in trouble areas like Boku and others. And in fact, the Boku conflict would have escalated to certain villages if not for the intervention of some of the Queen Mothers that we have empowered, because we made them to understand that violent extremism as well as marginalization of certain groups of people can lead to escalation of conflict. So some of them have prevented attacks on women who are coming to their markets, and this has contributed to calm down the conflict. And then, of course, we are working closely with other security apparatus, providing them with the necessary information, as well as holding radio programs and media interactions like this to be able to create the awareness. But we are most importantly concerned about the cohesion. We need our communities to come together. I mean, when you consider Boko in particular, there's a lot of intermarriages, a lot of connection. The people have more that is bonding them than what is separating them. And increasingly, we are becoming intolerant as a country. This attack on Fulbe is a nationwide phenomenon, and we must understand that irrespective of the fact that people are of different ethnic groups, they are Ghanaians first of all, and we are brothers in humanity.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation this morning, and thank you for the lesson on Fulbe and Fulo.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
We live and we learn. Awal Ahmed Kariama is Executive Director, Rise Ghana. They are working with a number of groupings to ensure that peace is restored to the Boko area. We'll take another breather. When we return, we'll be telling you about WACOMP and their Maiden ECOWAS exhibition. That conversation up next on the AM show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. And the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, in collaboration with UNIDO, with funding support from the European Union, is organizing the maiden edition of the WACOMP Maiden ECOWAS exhibition in Ghana under the West African Competitiveness Program. And guess what? Over 100 MSMEs operating in the processed fruits, cassava, and cosmetics sectors will showcase their products and services from the 29th of June to the 1st of July at the forecourt of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Office Complex. To register as an exhibitor, and we'll be telling you a bit more about that, you can call 0242 or 0243, I beg your pardon, 425-872 or 0547-513-373. For more information, visit wacompghana.org. And by the way, WACOMP is spelled WACOMP. So WACOMP Ghana.org altogether. And that is how you can get on board. But joining me for that conversation in the studio, we have Na Ache Nyakpo, Cluster and Networks Expert, Cosmetic and Personal Care Product. It's a WACOMP project. Na Ache reminds me of a good friend of mine in the media. And then Alexander Dazawa, Director of Projects, Ghana Export Promotion Authority. If I've murdered your names in any way, this is the best time to call me to order before we proceed. So, Naache, and did I get your surname?
Yes,
correct?
very well.
Dazawa.
Dazawa, yes.
Okay. Dazawa. And Naache, good to have you during the conversation.
Nice to be here.
All right, so tell us a bit, even as we kickstart this conversation, tell us a bit about the WACOMP engagement and how it came about. How did all of this start?
So WACOMP is an acronym. It's for the West Africa Competitiveness Program. And WACOMP is mainly being implemented across West Africa. And in Ghana, we're partnering with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and all the agencies under MOTI, including GEPA. And we work mainly with what we call the 5 C's. So
which are?
The 5 C's are compete. So that's encouraging SMEs to be more competitive in various ways, including and with conforming. Okay, so the second C is conform. This is where we talk about standards and being aware of the standards necessary to market your products, sell your products in different kinds of markets. Then we have credit, that's access to credit. We support SMEs to understand what it means to be able to access credit, to be prepared to access credit. And then we have Connect, where we create the platform to connect with your customers, to the markets, to understand what it means that your customers want. And then we have the last C, that's Coordinate. Coordinating all of this by working with partners like GEA, FDA, GSA, all of that, coming together to make sure that the SME is ready to be more competitive.
I think I missed one of them. Compete, credit, connect, coordinate. So which one am I missing?
It's compete, credit, conform.
Okay, so I'm
Connect.
missing conform. So I must fall in line. I must conform. I'm conforming right now. Mr. Dazawa, so we also have, yes, we know about the concept now and what it has stood for. How long has this been in place, though?
3 years we've been implementing the WACOMP project. It's an EU-funded project.
Okay.
That is to make West Africa competitive to export quality products into the EU markets.
And who are
that's
some...
the whole concept. And we are dealing with SMEs in Ghana, but you know, we have a broad spectrum of sectors that we deal with. But for the purposes of the project, concentration is on 3 key value chains: cassava, processed fruits, and then cosmetics.
Why the focus on those?
Well, it's always asked, but well, you know, we are dealing with West Africa, and it's not only Ghana, but it's implemented in all the other West African countries, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and so forth and so on. And we are looking at commonalities of products that prevail mainly in these countries. So if you take cassava, we all know cassava is a West Africa product. If you take fruits,
and a major one at that,
a very
that
major,
can be done with cassava. I mean, we're not even we're just scratching the surface,
at all.
Basically.
And cosmetics is a booming industry in West Africa. So in the wisdom of the framers of the project, they thought that these 3 are key value chains for West Africa. So the idea is to work together to be able to conform, compete on all that. And the focus is on the European markets, which is, of course, our major export market anyway.
At the end of all this, I mean, with this drive, 3 years on and all of that, what can you say are the benefits we've gained? We have the after, but look, the reality is that intra-trade is still a huge problem. I moderated an event for the Ghana Investment Promotion Center recently, and you would realize that we're still not, in fact, honestly, after hasn't taken off. It's not. We have the secretariat sitting there. But on that beat, I want to find out what has this given birth to? Well, what can we expect this year and moving forward in terms of the promotion?
Yeah, it's mainly in capacity building for the SMEs to make them stronger to compete. That is it. So the 3 years of implementation of the project has seen many SMEs benefit, i.e. in these 3 sectors, building their capacity in branding, in promotion, in strengthening their networks, and eventually in taking them to the market. For example, GEPA has taken, I would say, close to maybe 30, 40, 50 companies, SMEs that have capacity and potential to access the EU market, to fairs in various places in Germany, in France, and so forth and so on, which has resulted in orders being placed. Okay. And some of them are actively now exporting to the European Union, to Germany, that's and a few other countries. The last one we did was in February, which we called the Vivanes, a cosmetic fair in Germany, and the response was very good. You know, the exhibitors had gotten orders to supply, and now the challenge is even how we're going to organize.
How you're going to
meet those.
I don't know whether you've mentioned cassava, processed fruits, and
then the
cosmetics, but on the cosmetics bit, I know oil palm is pretty valuable in that chain for lipstick and others. I don't know whether that is also
part of
in the fray.
So for the cosmetics,
I knew you would want to go there. Since
the focus is actually on, excuse me, shea butter and black soap.
Black soap.
Because incidentally, we know that these products go out of Ghana onto the US markets and the European markets, and they do not conform to the standards required there.
Right.
So what's happening is that a lot of it is going in the raw form.
Without any processing,
exactly.
little
There's
value.
no benefit to the SMEs who are putting in all the effort to make it happen. So this project actually seeks to enlighten them about what exactly they're expected to do so that they can also have that market share. And by design, it's put the SMEs in these category into clusters. We have the northern cluster where majority of the shea butter comes from. They understand now what the process they are required to follow is. There's the handed down process that has been there for ages.
And now standard practices they must meet.
Exactly, but is that what the customer wants? Okay, because then you find that the nuts are going instead of the butter, and then they lose value. They don't get the benefit.
Right.
But now they understand what's the right process, what's the kind of quality the market is demanding, and they're learning to work together. And then also we have put together standards in collaboration with Ghana Standards Authority. There are 16 new cosmetic standards now. They didn't have, there used to be no standard for black soap, for instance, but now there's a standard. So what we've done is empowered them to be able to use these criteria to sell on the export.
I think you have a customer sitting right in front of you, because I use black soap and I use shea butter.
Yeah.
So
now it's better. It's going to be better.
It's going to be better.
Yes.
But let's talk about the numbers you're expecting. Visitors, exhibitors, and especially for the exhibitors, what are the benefits they stand to gain?
So for the exhibitors, we want to encourage them. Right now, there are a lot of them that have registered. We want to encourage them to actually pay up and come, because we only have 100 slots and it's fast filling
100
up.
pay.
Just 100 slots.
Let me say, you lose that small now.
That's it. Just 100 slots, and it's fast filling up. We've got barely 2 weeks to go. And the benefits that they stand to gain is exposure, because there are a lot of people who are looking for good quality products that are locally made, and they don't know where to find them.
So this will be a sort of one-stop shop. You come here, you identify both buyer, customer.
Exactly. And for a lot of them, there are going to be people who are potential, buyers in large quantities for export. And, this could be your break, really. In your small corner, you're not going to come out. People are going to know about you. The big shops are going to want to, put your products on their shelves. So please do come and make sure you're seen.
Yeah, and additionally, I also say that it will be an opportunity for GEPA to see new products, to see new companies coming. We'll be doing a lot of assessments of the exhibitors during the show to see the kinds of products that they have and assess their potential for us to enable them to then move to the next stage of actually placing the products on the international markets. I know that some of those that have already registered are companies that we know already, whom we have assisted to go to the market. But we are expecting more, because particularly in the cosmetic area, we have many small companies that are doing very well, and a lot of them women-led, young ladies, finish university, are on their own, have established small businesses. And what we like about some of these products is the packaging. It's really improving. Yeah. And so we want to use the opportunity to assess the products that are to be brought, so that we will know how to tailor the assistance that we'll give to them to become exporters eventually, because the numbers are very important to us.
And I guess that is the way to go, so that eventually they're producing in bulk, they're producing a lot more, they're exporting, and of course, as we get the foreign exchange, it also works for our country in dealing with all this, the situations we find ourselves in. But to cap off the conversation, so how can one register his or her business? What's the process, online or otherwise? What are the numbers to call? What is your web address? Both of you can...
Yes, wacom.org, as we've already mentioned.
So wacomghana.org. That is WACOMP
Ghana.org. And then the facility is there for you to register. Otherwise, you can also call, as you initially mentioned, 054-751-3373. And
could you slow down and mention that?
Okay, 054-751-3373. And it's a hotline, so there's always somebody to receive you and to give you the direction as to what to do. And it's only some few CDs to register. It's heavily subsidized, looking at the international nature. Yes, international, heavily subsidized.
Heavily subsidized.
Yes, looking at the international
heavily
nature
subsidized.
So we encourage them, those who have registered already but have not paid, as we are saying, it's only 2 weeks away. So we are going to have a cutoff point. So they should hurry up and come and pay. It's going to be quite an impressive show. At the sidelines also of the exhibition, we are going to organize a 2-day seminar that will touch on West Africa competitiveness in the area of the 3 value chains. And we're going to have very experienced people who are going to facilitate the process. On standards, Ghana Standards Authority will speak, Food and Drugs Authority will speak, and experts on ECOWAS trade will also be there to speak.
All right.
So it's very important that we take advantage of this.
Just to clarify, you've mentioned, you say 2 weeks from now, but could you mention the specific
29th.
date so that people will...
The event itself is from 29th of June to the 1st of July. 29th of June, all right, the 1st of July.
Okay.
Yes. So it's just 2 weeks away.
Thank you very much for joining the conversation. Any final words from you, Nacha, since I've just briefly on that?
Briefly. So I'd like to encourage all in these 3 value chains. Please do not let this opportunity pass you by. Really. And also to the visitors who would be coming by, come in your numbers, come and see what it is that is going outside Ghana, where they are benefiting when it's in abundance here in Ghana. Please do come visit and patronize as well.
Do you know what this reminds me of? The 90s and the expos and the trade fair. It used to be big. All of that is lost now.
Yes.
But anyway, reviving it. Nacha Nyakpo is a cluster and networks expert, cosmetics and personal care product, Wacom project. We also had in the studio Alexander Dadzawa, Director of Projects, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA for short. Lady, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome back on the AM show, and it's time to talk about the Pojoba. I'll not follow my producer and do anything. You know, he likes problems. I'm going to give him peace this morning. But the Pojoba in the studio this morning, Martin Tando, PRO, Pojoba, and there's Abdul Samed Yusuf, member of the PR committee, Pojoba. Which year groups?
I finished 6th from 95.
95?
In 2016.
2016?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm closer to this guy.
Yeah.
And much farther away from you.
Exactly.
Like light years away from you. Anyway, good to have you gentlemen join the conversation. But while I know, I'm going to act like when you go to a chief's palace and they ask you, they know why you are there, but they ask you, then I wouldn't nam. So, Pojoba, you are joining us this morning. What brings you here?
Oh, you can go ahead. We are here because on Saturday we walk up the hill, the mountains, and we've invited everyone, especially our sisters from St. Rose's and Krobo Girls, who will be joining us on that day. So we'll be leaving at 6 a.m. and we're going up. We'll have aerobics. We have we joined our DJs on rotation. There will be fanfare. There will be a small talk from professionals who will be with us. Pojoba professionals will be health professionals, others. Will be there. Okay. So basically, it's going to be interesting. We are hoping that we get all Pojoba to be there, from ancient to current.
Ancient to current. For you, Abdul, what would you say necessitated this at this point in time? Why at this time?
All right, so first of all, it is the first of its kind on this scale for Pojoba as an association. So, I mean, the whole rationale behind this was to whip up interest in an upcoming event, which is on the 4th of August. Okay. The Pojo Olympics. Pojoba Olympics.
The Pojo
Olympics.
Pojo Olympics.
Yeah, so Pope John Olympics.
So we are guy.
So how would you?
But but you don't get girls school too.
It's better to have options, you know.
Options.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are bringing the Rosecans, Roses for the Krobo. Is it?
Krobo Girls.
Krobo Girls.
Yeah.
All together.
Yeah.
You don't want to choose.
No.
Okay. No. All right. So on the 4th of August, ahead of that program,
yes,
you are putting all of this together to whip up
interest up. Yeah.
I see. What numbers are you expecting?
No less than 500.
No less than 500.
Yeah, because the majority of our members are in Accra.
It means on that day I should likely not come to AB because you people.
Yeah, the whole of
you take over the whole place.
The whole of Ayimesa will be flooded.
Okay, so it's going to be the usual. You come, you bring buses, I guess.
Yes.
Park around Ayimesa, the police station, and then the walk starts. Okay, so it starts at exactly 6?
Yeah, exactly 6. So we should be there by 5:30. Then we start at 6.
Okay. And in terms of the talks you're going to be having on health and all of that, give us a bit of a teaser. What can those who participate expect?
We're going to talk about mental health. Because we realize that
that's a good one.
Most of the time people think that It's only those who are mad on the streets.
Those who are roaming the streets.
Yes, that will have to go to the psychiatric.
We are all working with a tinge of
There
madness.
are lots of people that have mental disorders, and then we need to talk about it. So that's why we decided, okay, we need to get this, and this is an opportunity to talk about it.
I'll tell you for a fact, even if you don't have anything going on there, with the way things are currently, what do I say? We are all hot. Why dream by So it will be a good place for you to come and then get interactive. What else do you have lined up by way of entertainment? Usually when we go out, there's music, there's a whole lot going on, and people are just so you can get your mind off the physical exhaustion and all of that. What's
so you know, Pop John is known mainly for entertainment. We have more than 10 DJs on rotation on Saturday morning. At least 10 DJs and MCs will be on rotation. So after the aerobic session, we're going to have more like a jam session where it'll be music, fun, a kinky party. You mentioned that kinky party where everyone you can have some food.
Kinky party.
Exactly.
Did you say kinky?
Kinky party. Gankomi.
What does it come with? Let's see whether you can woo me there. What does it come with?
Hot pepper.
Hot pepper.
Yeah.
In that.
And some fish.
And some fish.
Exactly.
What kind of fish?
Oh, I think it's a variety. I can't really put a finger to.
I'm just pulling your legs. All right. But it looks like it's going to be a good one. So come, let's walk with the Pujoba. Let's get healthy. You know, but what do you say? You mentor all the way to. Are you going into the village? Me, when I do, I go deep. Or you are going to Pediasi?
Pediasi. We will be meeting at Lodge Tavern.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so that's where we'll be meeting to have our jam.
Okay. And then, of course, you can enjoy some kenke and all of that. There'll be lots of music. And, of course, the health talks, pep talks to get you in the right frame of mind. So this is the 17th day of the month. This month, right? Yeah. Saturday, 6 a.m., be there at Eyi Mensa around the police station. And they'll take you on board. If, of course, you have to be a Pujoba or an old student from Roses.
Yes.
Or Krobo Girls. Is it restricted? So me, I come out, you know what I said?
It's open to everybody.
Yeah, welcome. It's not restricted.
Yeah, you're a media partner, so you can come over.
All right. Well, what else can we expect on the day? Any final words as we wrap the conversation?
Well, it promises to be a very, very exciting event. I mean, this is the first time, as I said earlier, we're having such an event on this scale. So we're having from those who finished with the O-level, A-level, SSC, UASI, everybody across the age. I mean,
your good friend right here. Refer to him.
I didn't want to shade him. I didn't want to shade him.
Your good friend sitting right here.
Exactly. So we wanted a place where everybody can loosen their ties, let their color down, and interact with the diaspora around them. So we encourage everyone to be present.
All right. Yeah. Abdul Samad Yusuf is member of the PR committee, Pujoba. For you, Martin, final words?
Yeah, I just want to thank Multimedia for giving us this opportunity, and Belakwa too. Is sponsoring it, so we also thank them for all that help that they've given to us.
All right, all roads lead to Eyi Mensa on Saturday. Join the Pujoba and let's do it for the school and of course for your health as well. Martin Tando is PRO Pujoba. Do stay with us, we'll be right back on the AM show with more. I see you, and I guess you see me too. Welcome back on the AM show. We're gearing up to wrap. We'll be taking your calls shortly. The number to call 0302-211-691. But in between, have you had a drink of water this morning? Water is life, if you're not drinking as of this morning. When I wake up, one of the first things I do after praying is to take 500 milliliters of water. Help my system. So take some water. And I choose Awake Purified Drinking Water. Here's why. It is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you and I better. You and me, I should say. Now, they have the perfect sizes for all, tastes, whatever it is that you're looking for. If you're thinking of the kids, 330 ml, you can easily put it there in their bags, their backpacks, lunch boxes, 500 milliliters, 750, 1.5 liters for those who always want more. But if you're looking for something bigger, let's say for your home, for your office, you can go for their 19-liter jar bottles, ideal for such situations. So all you must do now, sit back and sip on some Awake Purified Drinking Water. And here's where it really gets me all emotional. Because guess what? For every bottle you purchase, a donation, a token is given to the National Cardiothoracic Center. That is indeed heartwarming. It's another quality product from Casapreco Company Limited. If you'd like to purchase in bulk, which I suggest you do, just call them on this number, 0262 351 251. This advert, of course, is FDA approved. Now, this morning on the AM show, we've spoken about governance, security matters, everything in between. We've had conversations from WACOMP, ECOWAS, and that exhibition. We've spoken to the Pujoba, among others. But from the news review, a number of matters came up. Which one of them would you have us discuss? When we're talking to Palgrave Boakye-Danquah, government spokesperson on governance and security, a lot of you were sending through your messages, your thoughts on the power outages, on the performance of this government. What is your take? This is your time. We have just about 4 or 5 minutes thereabouts. 0302-211-691 is the number to call. Let us know what your thoughts are. Who's my first caller? Is it going to be you? 0302-211-691. But for starters, I was looking at this situation where it's captured by the Daily Guide newspaper. Leave Dumso to Mahama. Nana teasers. But anyway, let me hear from Francis first. Good morning, Francis.
Good morning.
Hope you're well.
I'm good.
Great. What are your thoughts for us this morning?
Well, I've listened to the government spokesperson this morning, and I think that it is necessary for government spokespersons to come and tell us the truth rather than coming on air to speak a big English without telling us what exactly is going on the ground. One district, one factory, for most of us is a failed policy, because if you look at the whole thing, you realize that the program is not ongoing. And what Professor Boakye said is right. You know, if you have 1 million and you want to do a project which costs about 2 million, why don't you use that 1 million to start the project? And when you are done with one, then you go for another one. Right. Now, we want to do one district, one factory, Agenda 111. Meanwhile, we don't have money to do all those things. And these are all projects which are not helping the country at all. So I think that the government should rethink about all these policies. You know, finish one project at a time for people in those communities to benefit from the project.
Thank you, Francis, for sharing your thoughts. Actually, the professor is Frank Binka, or Binka, I should say. Binka, Professor Binka. That's his name there. And he shared his thoughts. Many of you have been talking about Agenda 111 as well, and what your expectations are, what you're seeing on the ground. I was pinning Palgrave on the bit about 1D1F. We've been out there. We've seen a lot of these projects, and a lot of them are nothing to write home about, based on what is said versus what we see on the ground. But there are some too that are, up and running. The Akumfi juice factory is one of them, still producing, still working. I'm looking forward to seeing what will be done as far as the Komenda sugar factory is concerned. That is a scar, a blot on our conscience as a people. And it's been there, promise in, promise out, this administration. The last time I heard any talk of it, Alan Tremating, who is now gunning to be the flag bearer of the NPP, was talking about it and how it would roll off. Still nothing. We have a caller from Tamale. Is it Mr. Okran? Hello? Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. Is it Mr. Okran?
Hello?
Good
morning, sir.
Good morning. Is this Mr. Okran from Tamale?
Yeah, Mr. Osman. Yeah, it's Mr. Osman.
All right, Osman.
Good
right.
morning, sir. Can I speak to Joy News?
You are live on Joy News. Go ahead with your thoughts, please.
Come again.
You are live on Joy News. Please go ahead with your thoughts, please. Unfortunate, we lost him. If we can, maybe we'll just pick one final call and then call it a wrap. But I don't know what your thoughts are. I was looking at the power situation as well. I've spoken extensively on it this morning, both in the news review and with Palgrave, so I'll not go back to that. But if your power situation is nothing to write home about, or if it's something to write home about, you can tell us as well. Do we have Dr. Tete? Hello?
Good morning.
Is it Dr. Tete?
Yes, it is.
From Russia?
Yes.
Okay, Russia and Ghana.
Well. Russia and Ghana.
Russia and Ghana. In Ghana, we have Hong Kong, Russia, Sukra, and all of that. Anyway, what are your thoughts for us?
Yeah, so it's about the security concerns and the recent killing at Botsiano.
Botsiano, right.
Yes, so we shouldn't be quick to kind of backlash the security agencies and all that. What we should rather do is that we should allow an external body investigate into these things, and we're pretty sure we'll all be glad with the report that will come out. The other thing is that we're pretty sure that every operation that is sanctioned by the police, all officers involved should have a body cam on. That way, we're able to tell what really happened and not rely on their account. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts, all of you who took the time to call. You know, we do not take for granted that you wake up every morning, you could choose to switch anywhere else, but you decide to switch here. Join us on Joy News, on the AM show, and we also strive on the back of that to deliver the best experience on television. We're grateful that you joined us this morning. Coming up next, we have Joy News Desk, but from us to you, thank you so much. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. We cannot leave without reiterating that today is a very special day. It is World Blood Donor Day. Yes, a lot of activities are going on, but it's special because of my producer. He is called Derek Ekosam. He's a bit shy. He didn't want to come on air because I wanted us to come and do something on air, but he's doing some skirmishes. Derek Ekosam, please come. Camera people, can you give us a wide shot so we can have Derek Ekosam? And you know what? I'm going to get off my seat so we wrap off in a nice way. I'm not going to sit down. Please, can you see? Look at his oily face, like Anwamo. This is my producer. This is the guy who makes me look good every day, Derek Ekosam, and he's also my fooling mate here. We are not pepe like that all the time. But you're a fantastic guy. Thank you. Yamisha Obebre. No ma onyansa eni ni awi ni na. And that is the note on which we wrap the show together. Let's do this together. From Benjamin and
D'accord. You say, do have a good day.
All the best.